I'm just living my life. And that's
Yeah, but
exactly how it
Jesse, I
feels.
just got here.
Why are you so
Why
mad?
is Jesse malding? What happened? What did I miss? Someone fill me in as to why Jesse's so mad.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talk about all the bonkers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jesse Kazam.
And I got him.
And
All I needed to do was look into the camera and blink twice.
got
and he
him.
giggled.
Yeah,
That's
it
all
really
takes.
it is. If I at any point during the intro just look at OBS and see Veritas's face staring at me, I lose.
So what's up, homie?
Not much, man. Just whole fam is sick, like we were saying, which sucks, but it is what it is. There's like pros and cons to everybody being sick at the same time, right? The obvious con is everyone in the household is sick, so you feel much less equipped to deal with people, with children when they're sick when you're sick.
Yeah, leave me alone, kid. I'm fucking
Exactly.
sick.
However, on the flip side, it's all over together quicker, right? Like I've had like a cold go like from me, I got it first, and then my kid got it, and then the other kid got it, and then my wife got it, and I got it again. Like, and it
evolved
exactly,
already.
yeah. And it like seriously, and you're like, no, that's not how this is supposed to work. I got it first. I'm done, right? And you like get sick again. So it's like, so when it's all condensed, it's kind of nice. Then it's like it's just all going to be over soon. And we are kind of on the up now. The weekend was really bad, but now we're on the up. So, but it's been, whew, rough.
Well,
yeah.
good luck with that.
Yep. How about yourself? How's things?
I mean, just god awful. I just
Oh no.
with
With all this stuff.
IRL is just a nightmare. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Just dealing with my grandmother's stuff is still going on. It's still going on, bro. It's getting to the point now where pretty much everybody I talk to at the hospital, I'm always like throwing the lawyer word out there because it's like
just,
I just have to threaten everything. Like it went from being, remember how I said we were trying to like get my grandmother it's not competency because that's a legal term, it's capacity. Whether you have the capacity to make like medical decisions, they actually revoked her capacity, which was good because my sister's the power of attorney and the healthcare proxy. So now it's like the decision's in her hands, which is like beautiful. And then finally my grandmother was like, I want to go into a nursing home. I want to come up near you. I'm like, we're like, yes.
Yeah.
Thank God we don't have to convince her anymore.
Yep.
Like she's in the hospital. All of this stuff, and then we're waiting to talk to like lawyers and whatever to try to get the Medicaid application, because that's the craziest thing. You would think like you want to apply for a government thing, you would think like I'm sure it's like maybe I have to wait in line, but it's like I'm going to fill out a form, right?
Yeah.
And like that, maybe give them some paperwork. And everybody I've talked to, including like lawyers and hospital people, they're all like, do not do it yourself. Like you need someone who knows, like basically a lawyer, like an elder attorney who specializes, like to fill it out, which is like $7,000 to $15,000, which is great.
Sick.
My grandmother's in the hospital. $1,800 a day I've been paying. $1,800 a day, bro. Because it went to the point where they're like fixed kind of her direct medical things, and they're like, well, we send her home, and I'm like, you're not sending her home. Like she just can't. She can't. She can't take care of herself at this point. It's super depressing. And then, so we're like, here's the plan. We have a meeting next week with like the Medicaid expert of the area. It's going to be all this stuff. And they're like, cool, that was the plan. And that was like a month ago. And then all of a sudden yesterday, I get a phone call from my sister frantically crying. They're discharging her. I'm like, what? Like, what are they? She doesn't even have a key to her house.
Jesus.
The ambulance is just going to drop her off. And like, she's with dementia. Like, what the fuck are you people doing? And then, we flip out with them. They're like, all right, well, we'll sign the discharge papers tomorrow. So I don't know how you can go from deeming somebody, I mean, I know how they can do it, but like saying you're You don't have the capacity to make medical decisions for yourself. We were giving it to this person. Them with the hospital makes a plan to get you straight into like a nursing home. And then all of a sudden, right before,
you're out
days
on your own.
before, it's like, nope, you have capacity. And my grandmother doesn't remember having these conversations. So she's like, when am I going home? Why am I here? She forgets.
Dude.
Because she's got dementia. And the doctor's like, oh, she seems totally fine because he sees her for 15 minutes.
Yep.
It's like, well, if you waited another 15, she'd be like, oh, hi, how are you? Who are you? I've never met you before,
Dude.
you know?
It's like Black Mirror, but like in real life.
Yeah. And also been dealing with, you know, how I had my whole medical thing.
Yeah.
That was back.
It was like months ago.
3 months ago. And I've been like, when can I get a follow-up appointment with my doctor? Like, I had all that stuff done.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, we're waiting for the test results. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, why would it take this long? Like, it should be days. And they're like, oh, well, we'll contact the other, because I got referred to another place because there's like a surgeon and then a hospital that did my endoscopy and everything. And then finally I end up calling for like the 15th time. They tell me they're going to call back. They never do. So finally I call and I'm like, what's the deal with the results? And they're like, we've had it for 3 weeks. It's been there, but oh shoot, it looks like we didn't upload it to the system properly. So it's like, okay, well now I understand why they don't have access, because it's all online, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, for 3 weeks, I was calling every day, being like, "What's the update? What's the update?" And they said, "Oh, we'll get in touch with them." Why was it that when I call, in 5 minutes they determine
they're like,
that
"Oh, we know the problem. We didn't upload." Yeah.
So they've been either lying to me or whatever, and I've been dying here, dude. Like, you should see my mute button on my Go XLR is just worn off. It's the only thing that has because I'm just constantly clearing my throat and coughing all day. Today's the first day that I've been like, I haven't been dying,
dude.
Like, and I have an appointment tomorrow. So
that is brutal.
Finally. So I've just been exhausted.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no way to describe, how much that stuff, like family stuff like that, not only like weighs on you like emotionally when you're trying to like entertain or do your thing or just vibe, but then just on top of it, the actual just like unbelievable incompetence. Like, and
dude, every day I sit down at my stream and I'm like, okay, I've just got myself out of bed, right? I start the stream, 10 minutes in, I get a phone call. I see it's from my sister. I'm like, and she's like, I'm on the phone with the hospital. And it's like, and I walk away from the stream for an hour.
Yeah.
I have a phone call and I'm pacing around in a circle in my office.
Yeah.
My heart rate's 130. And I sit down at my table and I'm just like, all right, I'm back, guys.
Sorry.
I'm just exhausted, mentally and emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
But gaming has been good.
Yeah.
That's so like.
That's brutal, man.
So let's just ignore that. Let's just move on from that bullshit.
You know what? The games are what bring us joy. Well, most of the games. I do really want to hear about Diablo. I've been watching quite a bit of it, and I know you've been playing quite a bit, so I'm interested to like hear about it. But I figure we would hop right into some Tarkov stuff because it's the game on the list bringing the least amount of joy. And there's really nothing, bro. Like, I think we ended last week saying like, mentioning that like, hey, we've been doing podcasts talking about other stuff, partially because we've been enjoying other stuff, but partially because it's like there's nothing happening in Tarkov. And so it's kind of more of that. We did get an event last week, which I freaking again didn't get to dude. In the past like 18 months, I've taken like 2 weekends off, and it's been the 2 weekends they've done event. There's like 3-4 weeks ago they did the all boss event, and then they did this one, and I was like, so I didn't get to play a single. But in Tarkov land, they did an event this week. There was no Chronicles of Rigi. There was no lore. There was no nothing. It was just like all bosses were 100%. Cultists were 100%. Goons were 100% over the weekend. And then there was a quest it was called Hint, and it was a skier quest, and to kill all the bosses once, 4 raiders, 4 rogues, and 1 of the cultist priests. You didn't have to turn anything in. It wasn't like turn in a helmet. It was just kill everyone, and they were 100% spawn chance. So it was like,
oh, okay, that's not bad.
It was kind of perfect, right? And the reward was, this is really the noteworthy thing, was 9mm PBP. It used to be 7N31, the good 9mm ammo.
Yeah.
You unlocked the ability to purchase that ammo from that quest. So they basically added it back to the traders without just adding it back to the traders. They like gave us a quest to do to unlock it.
But that was during the event?
During the event, yeah. Now,
so can you not
if
do
you
it, or
miss
is the
the
quest still
event,
there?
the quest is still there, but you have to like go get the bosses naturally. And it's and they added it to skier level 1, which is presumably them being like, we're gonna put PvP back, but because it's so late in wipe, we don't want to deal with us putting it at level 4 and then people whining that they didn't. Well, I want to act, you know what I mean? So they're like, it's end of wipe. They just put it at level 1 skier. It's, I think 750 a round. You can buy 150 rounds per reset. They kind of just like right down the middle. It wasn't like you can't get like hundreds and hundreds of rounds, but it's not like 80 rounds per, you know what I mean? And they just put it right there. So basically what that means to me is that they're going to put it back in the trader's next wipe, probably. You know what I mean? Because that's like the thing everyone talks about with 9mm. But yeah, you can still do the quest. I missed it, and I don't really care to do the quest. But yeah.
What's your stash looking like? So I know you deleted everything. Yeah. Do you still have millions and it's full of
it's completely full. I have 30 million rubles. And that's partly because, like we said last time, it's partly because like interacting with other humans in this game is like my least favorite part of it recently. So like I've been sick. Oh, dude, I've been sick this week. So I'm just like, I'm running the lighthouse and people are like, more lighthouse runs. And I'm like, look, this is basically an excuse to like hang out with chat, right? Like, like if you don't want to be here, like I totally get it. Leave. Like go watch somebody crush PvP. But this is how I keep my mental health right now. I'm like so much less patience because I'm sick and I'm tired. But I want to be streaming. I want to be gaming and vibing with chat. I want to hang out with you guys. So it's like we're just running some lighthouse runs, and it's been like that all week. And so, but it's just like dude. One day this week I was playing with Velian and Genu, and so we were just like going crazy with the PvP. And bro, I think we played for 5 hours, and I think there was only one raid where I killed a PMC and survived. Almost every raid, I just immediately died to like the very first thing possible. Or if I killed someone, we ran into like an 8-man. Like, dude, there was one moment, and I was trying really hard not to let that like just get to me and get it to where like I'm like baiting my teammates, where I'm like always letting them go first. I was like trying to like still make good plays and stuff like that. And there was one moment we were pushing 3-story dorms. There were guys in 3-story dorms and outside it shooting at us. And so I was basically trying to flank. They were like kind of by the car shooting at us, and we were coming from 2-story dorms. So I kind of tried to do the jump, you know, where like you can break the window on the first floor and jump on the car and then jump in. And I was trying to do that. I broke the window and I got to the trash bags and I jumped and I just was in for 3 seconds, just rubber banding. I'd make it halfway in the window and then I'd rubber band back out. It was like, and a guy on the 3rd floor balcony just peeked over and killed me. I don't know what I was doing to him, but on my screen, I was just, I was existing in a separate dimension. I was floating. I had achieved flight and I was just rubber banding back and forth. And I was like, PvP, everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like
Schrodinger's PMC.
Yeah. I existed in both states. So yeah. So it was just like, dude, it's just been, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. So not a whole lot happening. We still haven't gotten any Chronicles of Rizhi. We still haven't gotten any update on Wipe. You know, we're definitely at that point now where everybody's asking when the wipe is, asking, you know, what's pre-wipe, if this is pre-wipe or whatever's happening, and it's like the circle just like continues forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. And I just like, oh, dude,
gross.
It's been brutal. And I'm trying so hard. It's so funny. It's like what I actually really don't care at all when people are like, hey, do you know when the wipe is? Like, people in chat get more annoyed at that than me. Like, you know what I mean? People in chat will be like, oh my God, can we please stop talking about the wipe? And I'm like, I'm fine with that. Like, because the answer is just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. That's the answer, is I don't know. What's frustrating is this one's been really big. It's the same thing we talked about the other week, but like this one's been really big recently. There was like, did you see the leaked picture? I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. It was like a leaked picture of, but I don't know if it was a real leak. Like PMC Karma. Did we talk about that?
I don't think so.
Let me try and find it. Okay, here it is.
Bro, can Discord's birthday off?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I want to ignore all badges.
Yep. Okay, so that link, I'll throw it in chat as well. Tiggs tweeted it. I don't know what happened. I guess underneath he sourced it from Reddit. He didn't see this, but I think he got it from Reddit or something. And so like this picture, it was like, you are losing karma, avoid. I don't even know, dude. It was like half in another language. It was weird. And I thought that the general consensus was just that like this was fake. Like somebody just made this up, right? But like it spawned, then like Logical said it's a visual bug, which I didn't know if he saw it on the back end. Anyways, it spawned like a resurgence in talking about PMC Karma. And like the nice guy made a video about PMC Karma, which is fine, by the way. Like I'm totally fine with that. But I say that to say that like there's been this huge resurgence in like PMC Karma. And it just like stuff like this is what kills me. People are like, what do you think about PMC Karma? And I'm like, I don't think anything about it. We don't know anything about it. We don't know how it's going to work. Nikita mentioned, yes, he told nice guy it's still on the table. But we have literally no idea how it's going to work. It's not worth getting fed up about. And that's my always response. And then it's like 8 people being like, oh my God, if they do it this way, I'm leaving the game. If they do it this way, they're going to ruin the game. If they do it this way, that's going to be the stupidest thing. Classic BSG. They're doing PMC Karma this way, this, that. And I'm like, you're making things up and then getting frustrated about them. And then what happens, Veritas? And then what happens next? You know. Guys, I really think that they should fix the game before they start adding new features. I was like, they're not adding it. The feature we're arguing about, it's not coming tomorrow. It's out of my, it's out of my control. Like I try, people like, what do you think about PMC Karma? I'm like, nothing. There are no thoughts. We don't know what PMC Karma is yet, but it doesn't matter. I've lost control. The chat it's floating away. It's out of my reach, Veritas. It starts. People are like, if they do it this way, I'm going to be terrible. And then it's classic BSG. They're going to do it this way and it's going to be terrible. And then it's like, oh my God, BSG once again, adding features without fixing the game. And it's all made up. None of it's real. No, but it's,
you should ask when they ask you, you should ask them what are their thoughts on the Dirac equation or exponential decay?
Yeah.
And they're going to say, I don't know what that is. And you're going to say, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you my thoughts once I know what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. The analogy was like, the analogy I used was like, somebody's like, yo, what are you going to do when you retire? 65, you retire. Where are you going to move? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not 65. I'm not going to do it. And somebody else goes, if you don't move to Florida, you're the stupidest person in the entire world. And I go, I don't know. I'm not 65. I don't know where I'm going to live. And then somebody else goes, you should really reevaluate your priorities and live life right now. Why are you talking about retiring? And I'm like, I'm not talking about retiring. You know what I mean? Like, that's what happens. It's like, and everybody just comes in and it's like, I'm not 65. I'm not retiring. Like, I'm just living my life. And that's exactly how it feels.
I just got here. Why
are you so mad?
Why is Jesse malding? What happened? What did I miss? Someone fill me in as to why Jesse's so mad. Jesse you are me on a 6-month delay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was just like the example. So it's like when somebody comes in and says, hey, do you know when the wipe is? I'm not even a little bit mad. I'm just like, no, I'm not. I'm just like, I don't. It could be soon. It could be far. I'm sorry that doesn't give you anything, but like that's not hard for me to say. That's not hard for me to just be like, I don't know. It's this. It's when it
Wait
just
till you-
like
Wait till you
spirals.
start wondering
out of
if
my
people are
control.
genuinely asking the question or if they're asking the question because they know. It's annoying.
Yeah.
And at that point, you'll be past being annoyed by the question.
Yeah.
Now you're just annoyed that you don't know
Yeah.
if they're just,
Yeah.
if they're just trying to do the whole I'm not touching you,
Yeah.
I'm not touching you kind of. That's a Twitch chat equivalent.
Yeah. I also wish that if I was like a true like psychopath maniac, what I really wish I had the time to do was every time anybody said anything like there is no way, if they're like, there is no way we get X this year. There is no way we wipe before January of next year. Like even if I think they're right, just the confidence with which they say things, I want to so badly screenshot it, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and then whatever thing happens, like if Arena comes out, go through my Excel spreadsheet and just send these chatters their messages and be like, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid. Because if I tweeted there's no way X and then X happens, people would dig through and find the tweet and be like, idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I had people telling me 12 hours before Streets of Tarkov released that there was no way Streets was coming out in this patch. There is no, Jesse, it's been soon TM for 6 years. There is no way. And then it just vanishes, right? It comes out and they're like, oh, Streets is fun.
Either it just vanishes or they just vanish.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
I hate when someone says some edgy and I'm like, okay, give me 1 minute. And 5 minutes later, I'm like, here's the proof you're wrong. What do you say? And it's like cricket.
Exactly.
Cricket. And that's always the last message that they've had since 2001.
Exactly.
That, like,
and so it's like, what I wish I could do, you know how like when you hop into a chat for the first time and you have to agree to the rules. I wish I could retroactively do that. Like I wish I could right click on someone's username and click, they have to agree before they can type in this chat again. They have to agree. And I upload the image. It's just like, you were wrong about this. You have to agree that you were wrong about this before you can type in my chat again.
We need to figure out how we can implement the way that websites ask about permissions for cookies now, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Because I swear to God, I have to accept cookies on every website. Every single time I go. In very much the same way that I have to tell BSG in the launcher to remember my login every time I log in.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, maybe the feature's broken if you can't remember. You can't even remember that I want you to remember, let alone remember the login.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so all that being said is that Tarkov is more of the same. I've been vibing with chat, making fat stacks of cash and joking around and having fun scav armies. And we don't really know anything about anything. They did the event. The event didn't lead to anything, which is fine. Like, I'm not saying everything should. I'd rather them do events even if they don't have lore to back it up. You know what I mean? So, But other than that, that's Tarkov. That's it. We hope for more. We cope for more. And then we just continue. What is it? Airwing Marine said this. The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yep.
Yep.
Attention.
Yep. So outside of Tarky though, how's Diablo?
Bro, it's so good.
I've been hearing it's so good.
It's so good, man.
Yeah. Is it so like how different is it from like other Diablo games? Because like I'm looking at it and it's all the same. Like I keep hearing about like the open world aspect of it is like a new thing for Diablo.
Yeah, so I played Diablo 3 for like a month.
Okay.
So I can't really speak to D3 as much, although I think a lot of the things I'm saying apply to D3, but like don't quote me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not I honestly just don't even remember.
Is D2 like the one? Like
D2 is the
Diablo
one.
game?
Yeah, D2 is the one. Diablo 1 was just, it's ancient.
Yeah.
But it was like, one of the first of its kind.
When did
it was awesome. When did D1 come out?
December 31st, 1996 is when D1 came out.
Yeah, man. So the way that Diablo 1 worked was there was like the little town area where you bought potions and, you know, whatever. And then you like walked like half a mile to like a church, and you like went into the church, and it was like you go down the levels.
Okay.
So like you go to level 1 and it's like, okay, I need to heal and go fix all my whatever. Walk all the way. And there was no jogging. It was walking everywhere. So you're just like,
damn.
Dude, it was the most painful thing. Like, holy. But the thing is it like wasn't the worst the first time you play through it.
Yeah, especially because you didn't know, like in 1996, what did you have to reference, right? Like,
and here's the thing: I played Diablo 2 before Diablo 1.
Really?
So in Diablo 2, once you get decently far into the game, or as like a sorceress, or you get into the end game, you teleport everywhere. So like literally you're going from, you have your character's in the middle of the screen, right? You put your cursor in the upper right hand corner and you right click and you are there. And it's like zoom, zoom, zoom. So it's only one screen at a time over, but it's like zoom, 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 zoom. I mean, you're just flying, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, going back and playing Diablo 1, it was like an experience that I'm glad I did, but I'll never play it again.
Yeah.
But dude, Diablo 3, like, I mean, sorry, 4, Diablo 4. How do I even? It's, first of all, it's Blizzard. The cutscenes, and the cinematics are 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole like mommy meme.
Dude, the mommy Lilith.
Yeah. That was one of those things, like the first day the memes were going around, I was rolling my eyes, and then the more she showed up on screen, the more I'm like, mommy, where are you? I need it. Every time the cutscene would end, I'm like,
bro,
no.
You know what's funny is that's like
man.
such good marketing for them too. Like, holy cow. Like, holy cow.
Yeah, so I don't even know where to start with it. Like, a lot of I didn't like D3, and I think the popular opinion was generally that like D3 being the thing everybody was waiting for after D2 was kind of like a letdown.
Yeah.
It was still a good game, but like,
yeah,
it wasn't an epic game like D2 was. But there were some cool things about D3 that I really liked, that were really cool, but they were also like not. When I played D3, I would say like I was a casual player of D3. You know, this is way before content creation. I was working full time, you know, and there was some elements of it that were like kind of grindy and pretty obscure and kind of hard to follow. But the way that most of the Diablo games have been is they are the world and the dungeons are basically like randomly generated, but they follow set rules. So there's only like 7, 8, 12 variations of a thing. So you kind of know where, you know, you teleport to the left and it's like, okay, it's not over here. Then you go up, it's not over here. Then you know it's going to be to the right. You know, that kind of thing. And they're very linear. So you're always going the same place, and you just go until there's like the doorway, which takes you to the next thing, and then you explore until you find the doorway to the next thing, and like that's basically how it is. And you're always going from section A to section B to C to D. With Diablo 4, it's a massive, huge open world. That you could explore the whole thing without doing any of the quest line, or you can do the quest line. Like I finished the main quest line. I'm like level 60 or something, 67 or 68. And I still have like probably 30% of the map that isn't uncovered. And it's huge, dude. It's massive. And the story takes you all over the place. But this is the first game that does something, honestly, since I think like Skyrim was one of the games that I feel like kind of did this okay, but Diablo 4 does this fantastically, which is It's like my quest is over in this next town. If I was like riding my horse, it would take me 10 seconds to get there.
Yeah.
And I am halfway there. It's been 2 hours because there's a fight, there's an event, there's something. Oh, there's a dungeon over there. Oh, there's a basement. Oh, there's a side quest. And all of those things are worth doing.
Yeah.
They're all rewarding. They all have their own unique benefits.
Yeah.
It's just, they've just done it well.
Yeah.
They've just done the whole idea of an open world. Whereas like every other game, when I play like Fallout games, it's like main quest point, main quest point, main quest. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm really not interested in doing side quests unless it like unlocks some cool thing.
Yeah. And like it was like Skyrim did that well for its time. You know what I mean? For like being so old, but like, yeah. Like I found that to be the case for like Breath of the Wild. I don't know if you ever played Breath of the Wild, but like it was a similar thing where it was like,
yeah, that's a good example actually.
So dense with like dense but with variety. So it's not just like always like a mob. It's like it could be a puzzle. Like that's what Zelda is so good. Like it could be a puzzle. You know what I mean? That you're just like, oh, I want to explore. It could have been one of the, what do they call it? They weren't the altars, but the things that you had to go to everywhere.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know what they're called, not altars, but yeah, like, you know what I mean? Or it could be mobs, or it could be like, a weapon or a chest or something, or the Korok seeds. And so like, because of the variety, the world didn't have to look one way, but it was weirdly super densely packed with like a bunch of things to do. And so you could be, it takes me 10 minutes to get over there, but it's been 4 hours and I'm not over there yet. So that's cool.
Yeah, there's so much to do. And for once in a game like this, I want to do everything.
Yeah.
And
because there's like world bosses and stuff too, right? Kind of like a la an MMO, right?
Yeah. When I booted up the game today, started the stream, I'm like, all right, I've got these plans about what I'm going to do. And I looked on my map and it was like world boss in 90 seconds. And I was like, I guess we're going to fight the world boss.
Got
so you roll up there, you see like a little timer on like the icon on the map. And you roll up there, and right as if you imagine like a radius around the thing, right as you like hit the threshold, you're put in an instance with 11 other people.
Oh,
so there's 12 people that are all fighting
the
world boss, and it's pretty epic. There have been times where we've just like rolled it. There have been times where it was like I died a few times, a few of the guys died a few times. But the most impressive thing to me, now there's like the main game, then there's like the end game, and then there's like the end game. Like the people who are already Paragon level 9 million, and they've already been doing the tier 57 nightmare dungeons or whatever. Like they're doing things that I still don't even know what they are yet.
Yeah.
This game seems to me to be a fantastic balance between being really enjoyable for a casual and also for more of the serious, like hardcore grinders.
Like finding that balance well, actually.
Yeah, like, I mean, first of all, like I said, the main quest line, the story is fantastic. This is the first Diablo game. I didn't really care much about the story in any of the other Diablo games. But like I was looking forward to all the cinematics, and it was mostly mommy, but not all of them. What was I getting at? I forgot what I was saying.
Like the balance between
casual. Okay, so it's really, really easy and quick to like fast travel between places. There's a lot of little conveniences over like Diablo 2. One of the most annoying things with Diablo 2 is your belt. If you didn't have a belt, you had like 4 slots that you could put your potions in, and that's what you'd hot bar like 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was just, you constantly had to be picking up potions or buying potions and putting them in. It was just an annoying resource that you had to always have. Your belt would change how many slots, like how it would be like 4, but then there would be like multiple rows, so you could have like 12 or 16 or whatever. But it was just super annoying and I think Diablo 3 also improved on this, but like I said, I kind of skipped that. So Diablo 4, your character has just its own thing that is like your potions. It's not like a resource. You're not buying potions, so you never have to buy it. When you walk up to like a blood, like it looks like a bird feeder, but it's full of. It'll like refill all your potions.
Ah.
And then as you progress through the game, you're increasing the potency of the potions and the number of potions. So like now I have like 9 potions. Just little things like that. It's like less annoying resource management for some of the most like in Diablo 2 you had to buy scrolls to identify items. Every time you picked up an item, it was unidentified, and then you would click on the scroll of identify, click on the item, and it would identify it, and then you'd see like what the roll was on the stats.
That's like that Tarkov. Middle mouse button to inspect.
Basically, but instead you had to buy a scroll
something.
And then like if you wanted to take create a TP to a town portal, you would have to have a scroll of town portal. So you'd have to, it would be a resource where every time you did it, you had to consume a thing, whereas now it's just free. You know, so it's like there's no gameplay benefit to making that a thing that that gets consumed. There's the drop rate of good stuff is to the extent that like if it was 1 every 1,000, it like nobody would ever, you wouldn't feel like you were ever being rewarded. You know, if you're only playing an hour or 2 a day, like the average person. So it's just high enough where like you're excited to get new stuff. You're constantly, every time you get an item, you like hover over it to see like how does it compare to the one I have. And very often, probably every 5 minutes, you're finding a thing that's better than one of the slots you have before. And so you're always excited about getting more powerful. You're getting more skills, even as a casual. But if you're more serious about it, there's also the element of you have the ability to like re-roll individual stats. So you get to build like the perfect gear. But there's also a little bit of like a gambling element where it's like you get to re-roll a thing. Like I don't care about this stat, right? Like if I'm a sorceress, I don't care about strength. So like re-roll that thing that's plus 10 strength, and maybe you'll get plus 1 rank to some blizzard skill or whatever, right? And then there's also another element where like there's these legendary items, and legendary items have it's called a legendary affix, where it's like a special skill, a special add-on that's like above and beyond. That is usually like really powerful. You know, it might be like you have, whenever you kill an enemy, you have like a 70% increased critical chance for the next like 10 seconds or something. Or there's a million different combinations. What you can do is you can actually extract that affix off of the item, and it's basically like you have an IOU kind of, you have like a version of it where if you find another item, like a rare item that's not legendary, you can imprint it on that. So that might have all the really good stats you're looking for, but
that's
not the
kind of sick.
And then the other alternative is basically every dungeon has a legendary affix associated with it. So when you beat the dungeon, you have, it's called the Codex of Power, where it's a book with all of the affixes that you could have, and they're all empty. So you're filling the book out as you go. And the cool part about that is once you get it, if you extract it from an item, it's like one-time use. So you could put that on one weapon, but once it's there, you can't do anything with it. The other element to it is there might be like a stat range where it's like, how I said you had like a 70% chance of something. It might be 50 to 80.
Okay.
So if you get like 80%, you're like, oh, right, like it's the highest.
This is a good one,
So when you extract it, you're like, you want to put that on? Like I want to save this for the end game.
For the best thing.
Because if I put it on this item, I'm gonna find a better sword 5 minutes from now, and I'm gonna regret it. But the cool part about it is that if you go to like a dungeon, you beat the dungeon, that codex, affix will be added to the codex, and then you can use it as many times as you want, but it's always the minimum roll.
So you can still find out in the wild higher rolls of that, but if you wanted to use the minimum roll, see, that's so cool, because like that's what I always find to be really interesting about loot loot driven games is the balance between like grind for loot feels like gives you the higher dopamine when you hit the one thing you've been grinding for forever, but that's got such a high barrier of entry. And then
Mhm.
on the flip side, you have if every second you get better loot, nothing really feels valuable, and it's not worth playing that game of min maxing. And so
Yep.
like I've always been fascinated with like how you find that middle ground where it's fun for casuals, but it's fun for the grinders, where you're rewarded often enough to keep the dopamine drip going, but not so often that you still want to play the game and min max and save things for later. Um,
They've found like, I won't say
that's
it's
cool.
perfect, but so the cool part is like if you go online and you see a build guide, to get max rolls of all of those things would take you so long,
Mm.
hundreds of hours.
Yeah,
But if you just want the min rolls of all of those things, you could basically make your thing in a few hours. You just go to these
that's
6 dungeons.
cool. Yeah.
So you can have, and it also allows you, it's actually been what I've been doing now. It allows you to basically like make your build already, but it's all like placeholders. Like I've got like low to mid tier
Yeah.
rolls on all the things and all the slots I want.
So you can see all the synergies and stuff, and then you just like build up this build with better
Yeah.
versions of each one. That's cool.
And that's the other cool part about this, because you can play it, and each of those individual disparate little things they make a difference in the gameplay.
Yeah.
To the point where like you get it and you definitely feel the power increase, and you'll be able to get to level 50 and to beat the main quest line, which will be enough for I think like most people.
Yeah.
Once you do that, then you basically like you can upgrade to like world tier 3.
Yeah.
Which is like the beginning of the end game. So now, rather than your skill tree, there's a whole new thing called the Paragon board, which is this like, I won't even describe it.
Yeah.
It's just, there's this whole like geometrical thing with,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to describe it. It's
Like-
just basically a skill tree on steroids.
Yeah. Okay.
That allows you to power up in a very specific strategic way for what you want. And that's like, will take you, all the way up to level 100 and more. But in the case of when you want to play like endgame, one of the things that you like struggle with in these games, especially like in like Diablo 3 or Diablo 4, is you have a resource. Like every character has a resource.
Okay.
For a sorceress, it's mana.
Yeah.
When you cast a spell, it uses a little bit of
Yeah.
mana, right? All of the different characters have different mana resources. I've literally only played Rogue, so I actually don't know what all the other ones are called.
Yeah.
But like normally it's like, Frenzy or something with like Barb.
Yeah.
It might be like Gaia Energy with like Druid. I don't know, right? I don't know. I've only played the one.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they were called, but one of the kind of things that slows you down and can be kind of frustrating is when you like cast the spell, you're out, and then you're doing like weak attacks while it's growing, building up, and then cast a spell. You can actually still like do that and have it be fun and be casual.
Yeah.
You're just going through the dungeon, kill,
Yeah.
running, jogging along down the corridor to the next area, and you kill a guy, hit a guy 4 or 5 times and kill him, hit another guy 4 or 5 times, and then it's like, okay, it's going to spend 3 minutes chunking down this boss, to kill them. Whereas in the end game, what you want to be doing, first of all, you're going to be like on a higher tier. They're going to have thousands and thousands of health points rather than like 50 health points. And I mean, you're doing millions or billions or whatever damage.
Yeah.
But you like run in. There's 75 elite enemies that and you like press a couple of buttons and they just are deleted, and you just like loot, move on to the next one. It's the ultimate dopamine.
Yeah. The ultimate power fantasy.
Yeah, but doing that, like getting there, actually takes planning and kind of thought.
Yeah.
So like the build I have with Rogue, the main ability is called Twisting Blades. So you have dual wielding like daggers or swords, right?
Mhm.
And you go and you stab them with this thing, and then once you're done, like a second or 2 seconds later, they come flying out, spinning, and they return back to you.
Okay.
But they do a ton of damage. So what you
Oh,
do,
gotcha.
the kind of the goal of it is there's a big group. You kind of dash over to one side, stab, dash over to the other side, and then it just
Whoosh.
chunks through them all.
Yeah.
But then you also can lay down like a trap, and there's multiple traps. One like sucks them in, and the other one's like poison and does all this.
Yeah.
So basically, you like dash into the center of a group, lay your traps down, and just stab, and it's just blades everywhere, and like the whole thing just crumbles.
Yeah.
But for the long time, I was struggling with the energy, and
Okay.
what the way that I'll just explain like one build, and it'll give you kind of the idea about conceptually how it works. Is like there's some active skill that basically says when you deal damage to someone affected by your trap,
Okay.
it will make them immune. Sorry, not immune. It'll make them vulnerable.
Gotcha.
Which is like a status effect.
Yeah.
Basically means like you're just gonna take more damage.
Yep.
But then there's another effect that says when you do this thing on vulnerable enemies, it'll increase your critical strike chance, massively.
Yeah.
And then there's another affix on a legendary that says when you do crit damage, it'll increase, it will like return some of your energy cost of the thing you did. So it's like there's like 5 different skills and a couple of different affixes that make it so that you're doing infinitely. Like I hold right click, which is like the stabbing effect.
But it's
normally
filling your energy while it takes it. Yeah.
Yeah. So normally it takes 3 stabs and you're out of energy.
Yeah.
You have like 100 energy and it's like 30, 30, 30, and then you have to wait. Now I can like do this like dash, which is it's an instant teleport onto like the target. I can dash, hold down right click, put the traps down, everything gets sucked in, everything dies, like all the elites, like everything, they just die in 1 second, everything. And then I can dash over, do it again. Oh, and then there's another one where it's whenever you like do damage to people who are trapped or vulnerable, then it reduces the number of the cooldown. Because like my ultimate ability that sucks everybody in, it has like a 50-second cooldown.
Yep.
But if you watch, I'll be in the middle of a group and I'll cast the ultimate, because my blades are spinning around, and every one of those things, if there's 50 enemies around me, the blades are going hit, 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 hit. There's a 30% chance to proc a crit. There's a 25% chance that does this.
Get
and
a little bit of
the bars are just going up, down, up, down.
So it's like you're saying, like you can just like run around and do whatever and click if you want, but to get to the end, you have to like learn the chaining of events that can give you the most of everything, like maximizing your gear skill, but also maximizing like, if you do this, it makes them vulnerable. If you hit someone that's vulnerable, you can crit more, and the more crits you do, the more energy you get back. So you want to make sure you're doing all those things.
And that's the thing, is that like if you don't know about like this combination, I played for like 3 or 4 days where I'm like, man, this feels like something. Yeah. People are talking about how good this build is. I don't know. It's awkward. I feel like I'm constantly out of resources. I can't really move very fast. And it was like, oh, you need this affix and this passive skill in it. And all of a sudden it's like,
boom,
I'm a god all of a sudden.
Yeah. That's funny.
And it just like, you don't really run into those kinds of issues if you're a casual going to level 50. Like you don't need to worry about that. But if you were to put them in like a tier 3 nightmare dungeon, they would walk over and they would die to like the aura of a minion. Yeah. From like a half a screen away, it would just do like instant, because they wouldn't have the resists, they wouldn't have the defense. They'd walk over, they'd hit them once, you'd see the health bar not move. Yeah. And then, or they would go in and they'd kill. There was a meme where everybody was doing this is my favorite. Everybody always wants to do like, I've got the most epic build.
Yeah.
Here's my like build demo, right? And there's one where the druid during the beta was a meme because it was just really bad. And at one point, like he's going up against a boss or whatever, and at the same time, the same level, like Barbs would be doing tens of thousands of damage, and you see the druid is like, and you see 17. And it was just like,
God.
And so it was just the meme of like 17 damage or whatever. And then another video, a dude put out a video, unironically, where he was like demonstrating the most OP druid build. Now, there are these things called, I actually don't know what they're called, pillars. I'm not sure what the actual official term is, but that's what they are. They're like these little monolith pillars where there's a few different kinds. One of them's like greed, where you go over to the pillar and you activate it.
Okay.
And there's like a little thing that hovers over your head for like 60 seconds.
Gotcha.
And whenever you kill an enemy, they drop gold.
Gotcha.
There's one that like makes you like a shrines. That's what they are. They make you like you're like a turret of like blades, and or you like move super fast, or you're like invulnerable for 60 seconds. They give you these abilities.
Yeah.
This dude did like the demonstration video, and he went to like the boss fight using like the infinite damage shrine, and he was still like slow, like, but the whole time he was using the shrine, and it was like, that's not
your build.
That's not your build, man.
Yeah.
Like, Asmongold's always, his videos are always memeing like it should be. He said yesterday in a video, it's like it should be illegal for people to like use the shrines in these build demo
build
videos.
guide.
Because it's like, what, like it's just misleading. It makes you look, makes you look crazy.
It's like, what are the stats on your M4? And you have no recoil cheats, and you're like, oh yeah, it's I use this crazy M4, man.
Yeah. So, dude, it's just so good. It's so good.
That's so sick, man.
I've got so much more to do. I see like 1,000 hours of more content that I could easily put in.
I genuinely think I would love it too. I just wish I had more time. You know what I mean? Like, because I really genuinely think that I would love this type of game, and I missed it, right? Like, I never played Diablo 2. I missed this whole era of PC gaming that this game is nostalgic for, and it looks. I've been living vicariously. I've been watching a ton, lurking in your channel, Deadly, Sequisha, just like soaking it all up and like seeing it, and it just like it looks like it's a blast.
It's so good. They've been playing hardcore, which I don't have.
Deadly's been doing.
I don't have the balls for, but also I like too many times I want to like pull up a browser tab and be AFK, and like most of the time if someone walks up to you, they're going to hit you and they're going to hit you, and you're going to have like 30 seconds before you're dead where you can like kill them, and but sometimes like sometimes I fat finger like the menu, like the character menu, and then I go to like get out of it, and I open the abilities menu, and then I go to exit out of that, and I like pull up the console, and I'm like, and I just die. I wouldn't want like 100 hours of grinding to be over, because when you die, it's permadeath.
Hardcore seems insane. That seems insane.
So I don't know. There's I'm sure there's like a meta to how they do that. Like you probably need to spec on the defensive side way more. Like I didn't have to think about defense until quote unquote end game, until level 50. I'm now doing Paragon stuff, and I'm on like the tier 3, because that's like a big leap up in terms of like the difficulty. Like the things are going to hit harder. There's going to be more elites. Like when you're going through the normal game at a dungeon, there's usually like one elite with like a bunch of like kind of extra health minions around him at the end of the dungeon. When you do like a nightmare dungeon, tier 10 or whatever on world tier 3, you go into a room and there's 7 elites. The next room there's 5 elites and like 100 minions. You're like, it's just a different, and they all go right to you, and they like crowd control you, so you're like on the ground stunned, so you like can't move. It can be pretty rough
for sure. I was talking to Airwing, and he was playing. He was like, he was doing hardcore, but then he was like, I'm having a non-hardcore character. I'm trying to keep at a similar level, so if my hardcore one dies, I can just like keep going. And he was like, I did like 8 hours of hardcore, and then I hopped on a regular account, and I got to where I had gotten in like 90 minutes. Because you just play so differently, you know what I mean? So I was like, that kind of makes sense too. It's like you're just gonna there's a freedom to just like tinker in not hardcore. Like, I got this new build, let's see how it goes. Okay, it's not good, you know what I mean?
You just teleport into a group and you like see what happens.
Yeah,
you know?
And you're like, oh, I'm dead. Yeah. So yeah, that's crazy.
Apparently people were saying that they're Overskilled said log out macro is the meta in Path of Exile. The game has them built in. So basically there's like a button you press that logs you out. So it's like if you see your health bar go brrr, you're like,
that's kind of lame. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, dude, you should see so many times I'm like I'm owning. I go to this one group and something happens and it's like health is like this. And I swear to God, if you could see me how fast I'm hitting the Q, which is the potion button, you'd think there was a macro. I'm like, and you just see like the health go like up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's like literally if it goes down, like I'm doing damage, they're dead. Oh, thank God. Where it's like, if I run out of these 9 potions before I can kill him, I'm dead. But the multiplayer elements are great. They have like in-game chat. It works fantastically. When you're partied up with people or there's people nearby, you get more XP. And also the enemies scale and they get harder, but at the same time it's like there's much harder enemies, but having 2 people can make it still so that it's like still easier.
It's like scales, but it's not just like,
because at the same time, like while I suck them in and they're all crowd controlled, then like the sorceress can like freeze them all. And then like, so it's like you get to benefit from a lot of the things because, you know, like not every character can have all the things. Some characters are much more mobile. Like the rogue can like dash all over the place constantly. The sorceress can teleport, but like you see the druid is just like running. You know? And the barbarian kind of like leaps, which is like kind of slow but still faster.
Yeah, so it's like the enemy scale, but 2 players playing together are more than the sum of their parts. Like a build can synergize with the other parts of the build, but then like players can synergize with that. So it still ends up reinforcing like squad play, even though the enemies and stuff scale. That's really cool.
And I'm sure there's some point where I'm gonna get. I haven't gotten there yet. It was close, but then I changed my build around and everything changed. But where like I'm gonna activate like this thing where before you go into dungeons, there are these things you can craft that basically make the dungeon you're about to go into a special dungeon that's like a much higher level dungeon with better, and you can craft those or you can find them in the world. Those are the nightmare dungeons. And what were we just talking about?
Like like we were talking about playing with friends. It scales, but it makes it
so there's I'm sure like I'm gonna craft. I had the ability to like craft like a 30, like a tier 30, and I was like, I think I would go in there and insta die.
Yeah,
like it would just be impossible.
Yeah.
But like I don't know where that threshold is, so it's really cool that like that I don't know where the ceiling is, but I know I'm just nowhere near it. But I also have like a build that makes me feel godly. The last thing I'll say about Diablo is that I feel like the entire time I've been playing, if something is exactly as hard as like you are good, it's just boring, right?
Yeah.
If it's below that, it's ultra boring.
Way boring. Yep.
If it's just above that, but you want it to teeter between like 5% more, 5% less. 5%, where it's like I'm struggling and then you like overcome it and then you're godly, but then all of a sudden like, oh, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I've just been riding that line the whole time.
That's
as I progressed.
And that's a good point where it's like you don't even really want it 5% harder all the time. It's like you also want to be able to be like, I'm a god. Like, you know what I mean? Like you want it to almost like move where you overcome an obstacle and you're rewarded for that by like feeling like a god for a little bit, but then you're hit with another obstacle.
I would say once every 40 minutes I'm in a fight where I'm like, oh, I gotta like pay attention because I'm gonna die. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like this,
That's
it might be
sick.
like a particular enemy type, or it might be whatever, right? Where
Yeah.
it's all of a sudden like, wow, I need to pay attention. But it's cool that you can kind of just vibe
Yes.
out
Yeah.
and like
That's
there's
cool.
just so much left I have to do, and there's reasons to go everywhere and to do everything. It's not just completionism.
Yeah.
It's like if I collect these 3 statues, if I do 4 side quests and I clear a stronghold, then I'm gonna get like +4 Paragon points, which is like that would take me 5 hours to do.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'm now going and completing a stronghold, doing these quests that I get rewards for, killing a bunch of elite mobs. So I'm going to get item drops.
Yeah.
Like it's a roll of the dice every time. So you're excited to see what drops. And then at the end, it was like, it's never just I'm doing this like in Tarkov. I did these 5 quests so that I could unlock this gun.
Yep.
This game is I'm doing all of these things so that I can do this other thing, except all of the stuff in the middle, it doesn't feel like filler, and it's not boring.
Yeah, and you're getting loot that could replace your current loot, and then you're getting resources that you want to do this with, and then that all is a part of doing the original goal you were doing.
Yeah, it's just so
That's
good. Now, I would say the only thing I don't give a about is like I'm not gonna sit and listen to the NPCs talk about the side quest. Oh, Joey at the bar. It's actually interesting. Like they did a good job of filling it with like one of the things like the side quest. There was like a shopkeeper said like his sign was stolen or whatever, and then you find like a woman there. I think like the guy that stole it was like maybe her husband or her best friend.
Yeah.
I think maybe she stole it because like it was his favorite bar, and she was like taking it to like the 3 places, like his 3 final places to like commemorate like our final journey. And then like so you like go with her to these 3 places, and she's like, let's drink to them at like this area, and there's bosses at each one of them, and then you like return the sign to the shopkeeper, and you're like, hey, it was like this guy and this girl, or this girl, because this guy died, and the guy's like, oh, they're my favorite customer, and so it's like an interesting side quest story. It's not just like some goblins stole my wedding ring. You know,
go
like,
find it. Yep.
But at the same time, like I'm usually just clicking through it, but it lets you click through, so it's fine.
Yep.
It's so good, dude.
That's
it's
so
good.
sick. It's so sick because it's like good. It's so good to just get a W in gaming these days. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you've seen all the memes of like all the, statements all the studios are having to make after they launch their game because like, what I mean? And it's just like so many of them. So it's like, it's just so good to catch a W in gaming. Like the game is just good.
Today, and there was no queues. There hasn't been any queues at any point except today. The servers went down for whatever reason. I'm not sure. They were down for I don't know, like an hour or something like that. But through launch, the early week, and then the official week, there was a couple moments where it was a little laggy when you're like in towns, because that's where like other players are like more stationed. But you can still run into players out in the world, but it's like not annoying and it doesn't get in the way. Now, I have had an issue with some moments of like stutters and whatever, but my computer's dying, dude.
Really?
My computer is on its last leg. Like there were a couple times where I was like blue screening, like I was with Tarkov. So that's why I've been talking to like Stints to see if they can, to potentially get a new PC build because it's on its last leg. At this point, I'm not going to blame any of those issues on the games. So much. But like overall, I haven't experienced any serious bugs or any serious performance issues. The servers have been up. There hasn't been any queues.
Dude.
That's from coming from Blizzard. Like I'm amazed.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be an absolute dumpster fire.
It's dude. Oh, that's so sick. We need more. We need more of these. We need more games launching finished and good and smoothly. I know that that's a lot to ask for in 2023, but now the other thing that I saw super briefly, and I know nothing about this, but I want to talk to you about some No Man's Sky stuff because of what's been going on. However, before we do, I do want to take a second and thank the sponsor for this episode of the podcast, and that is Factor. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. It can help you fuel up fast with flavorful, nutritious, ready-to-eat meals. So Factor's been one of the people that's been sponsoring us for a while. You know, they sent us some food and some smoothies and a bunch of the stuff that they do. And I mean, we've talked about before. We love them. It's really cool. It's really cool that everything that you get from them is ready to eat. So it's already cooked. You just heat it up and then boom. So perfect for, you know, the launch of a new game when you're putting 14 hours into Diablo, you know what I mean? Not having to cook. So not only do you get to skip the grocery store visit, but also skip the cooking of everything as well. And the big thing with Factor is the customizability and how much power you have over the whole experience. Not only do you get to choose how many meals you want, when you want it delivered, if you want to take a week off, if you want to come back for a week, if you want to change things week to week, but also you can do a whole bunch of stuff. You can do calorie conscious options that are 550 calories or less. You can do protein plus meals with 30 grams of protein or more. They're doing all sorts of stuff for summer. Surf and turf, like roasted garlic filet mignon and shrimp, Cajun spiced shrimp and salmon. Like, what? It's delicious.
Shoot.
Yeah, dude. There's 34 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options. 34 every week. So, it's good. It's good.
Damn, son.
Damn, son.
They haven't let me down so far. It's always just fantastic meals with the perfect portion.
Yep.
I don't eat. You know, I'm kind of a normal eater.
Yeah.
And it's always just the right amount.
Yeah, I would say I am an like, I don't know why I eat like I've just come out of the Sahara Desert and I feel sick every single day. There was like, actually one of the reasons why we ended up on one of these types of services was because I'm like sick all the time. I just like overeat. I don't eat lunch because I'm in here gaming or doing YouTube, and then I come out and I eat dinner and I just overeat and then I feel sick. And so I found that these have like actually helped the portions. I'm not hungry afterwards, but I also don't feel sick because I've eaten 6 pounds of Chipotle or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So, so it's really cool. So Factor's cool. Another interesting thing that I've actually had people ask me about, and it's cool that they have this here. With Factor, you can rest assured that you're making a sustainable choice. We offset 100% of our delivery emissions to your door and source 100% renewable electricity for our production sites, and feature sustainably sourced seafood in our meals. And then also the boxes that come in, everything is like recyclable. So that's pretty cool too. So yeah, Factor, thank you so much for sponsoring this. You can head to factormeals.com/podcast50 and use code podcast50 to get 50% off your first box. That's a banger of a deal. That's code podcast50 at factormeals.com/podcast50 to get 50% off your first box. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring this episode. Okay,
oh,
so
bro, real quick, that just reminded me really quick.
Yeah.
I don't know what video I was watching. Oh my god. I need to look through to see if anybody responded to my comment because I commented. Oh, it was maybe not. You ever watch Four Eyes Furniture? I got on a binge at one point, and then I kind of recently got back into it, where it was like the people who make like the really nice woodworking, like furniture, like the river epoxy tables and all that other stuff. So I've been watching Four Eyes Furniture, Blacktail Studios, and at one point the guy was like, you know, he's got his camera set up and he was like, and he was like, bonus points to anybody if you know what I was humming.
The Mentos song?
I'm like, bro, is that the Mentos song? I'm like, no way. Like, me and Jesse, like, I was like, that's a Mentos song. And I don't know if it was me. I wrote that comment like a week ago. Normally, whenever I write a comment on a video, it's just like, whoa, what the f is Veritas doing? In this Spider-Man and Elsa video. I didn't expect to see you here. I'm usually
keep it down
from my official account.
Wait, I'm not on my alt. What a deep cut. to out in the wild. Like that's such a deep cut of an inside joke between us, like the Mentos song. I don't even remember how it started, but to like find someone out in the wild.
I had Mentos. I think I was eating it
yeah.
on yeah, my wife brought me Mentos.
Yeah. And so to see somebody humming that song kind of out in the wild is great. Damn.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Anyway, I had to get that out there. But yeah.
So what happened with No Man's Sky? I saw that they announced an update, which they've done a lot, but apparently there was like some ARG stuff too, which I didn't know they were upkeeping. I thought your video was about all the ARG stuff they did 10 years ago when the game came out.
Well, it ended in 2020.
Oh, really?
The ARG ended in 2020, and they haven't done anything since then. And then I start working on my video like a month ago, all about the ARG and the lore of the story and all of this stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've been going deep into the paint. I'm in like the what the fuck is it called? Sorry, I'm like Googling it really quickly because I forget. God damn it. I'm not going to be able to remember. Oh, I found it.
The game?
Yeah. The Edison Township Amateur Radio Club forums.
Oh, is that where like the radio thing that you had mentioned where like it turned out she was like moderating for them or something?
Yeah. So this is like
God.
Like randomly, because they did like radio, there was radio stuff, like the Howard Stern show had like ARG stuff from No Man's Sky on it, where it was like randomly a commercial was like, and if you like changed it to binary, turned it into hex, it was like coordinates for the game, like real deep. And so part of this started a couple days after the ARG was like, but nobody knew had anything to do with No Man's Sky at this point, because it took like weeks and weeks, potentially like more than a month for people to make the connection.
Yeah.
The people who are into ARGs are just into ARGs. They just like new ARG on the way, and like people get into it whether or not they're interested in like the main subject matter. Like this happened to be No Man's Sky, but like the moderator of the Edison Township Amateur Radio Club, or ETARC, was like, "Hey guys, check this out. It's only kind of adjacent to like radios, but I thought it was really cool. It looks like some like interesting marketing thing." It turns out like she was like an NPC in the whole thing, but the ETARC forums, and this is a slight spoiler to what I'm talking about in the video. I mean, it's only like one of the bullet points, but it's now Atlas 65 forums. At the end of the ARG, so Allison Smith is the name of the company that did the ARG. They've done a bunch of ARGs. They're like masterminds of this stuff. They were the ones that had the forums, but it got to the point where like the people who were into the ARG, this was like their home, where they were like discussing things. And it got to the point where like after the ARG was over, they're like, we're going to shut the site down kind of thing. And they're like, well, no, we have this community here of people that are like friends or whatever. So the community talked to Hello Games that made No Man's Sky, and they were like, we want, like, is there anything we can do here? And Hello Games basically bought the website from Allison Smith and said, as long as these few community members can be your own moderators, like, and you can deal with it, we'll maintain the website.
Damn.
How sick is that, dude?
So sick. Yeah.
So now it operates as like,
that's so cool.
Under the guise of the company, one of the companies in the ARG, Atlas Corporation. It's like their forum. But like I can go through all of the old threads and see.
That's really sick. Yeah.
So anyway, I start doing this video about the ARG. It would be like me doing the iceberg video for Lost, and then all of a sudden they're like announcing
a new special,
a new season, like Lost season 7 out today, and it was like, what?
Yeah,
because the update had like looking at Sean Murray's tweet, No Man's Sky Singularity. There's a ship with AI souls, a new expedition. Now, expeditions are, you literally create a new game, like a new save file, and you choose expedition. And it's like an instanced like kind of mini story
Oh,
with like it's all multiplayer. Like you spawn in and you instantly see people like running around. And it's very like integrated in with like multiplayer stuff, and usually it tells like a little story. There's individual self-contained kind of quest line, and then at the end it like automatically just turns into a normal save file, and it lasts like 5 weeks. I've never done any expeditions.
that's crazy.
And you get special rewards and cosmetics, and
Yeah.
you unlock all kinds of things as a part of that. So there's a new expedition. It involves like making like robots, like automatons
Yeah,
and
I saw the
stuff.
trailer for the update, and I saw like little robots running around.
Yeah. But at the end, it says ARG clues. And bro, like I only got to play like 20 minutes of it before because the Diablo servers were down before we did this podcast.
Oh
And like
yeah.
there's and so like already what I've done, I went in, did a couple of things, flew up into space, randomly there was like a space anomaly thing shows up in front of me that's all like robotic but in like corrupted that I've never seen before, and it starts spitting out like 47 50 59 5e a6, and it's like, what is all this stuff?
What does it mean?
You do this enough. In the short time that I've been in ARG land, I mean, I know about all these different shift 18 ciphers and like rot 18, I believe it is, which is like shifting characters 18 forward in like the alphabet, and then that's like a common.
Oh
I think
my
it's rot
God.
18. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's one of the single transliteration ciphers that encrypts by replacing the characters in the text with other characters. So it'll be like if you just move all the characters 18 over, it suddenly it was garbage before, now it's a message.
Oh my.
This was hex. So like A5 is like, I don't know, H or something.
Yeah.
So I instantly saw it and was like, went over to the thing, and the first message I saw said Void Prime, which is like hints at something that I only know a little bit about.
Yeah.
But it's like I now know I converted it right.
Yeah,
It's not like it
yeah.
was just garbage, And then the next one I did, because it spit out a bunch of other things, said, "We will never see home again."
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my God, like what's it going to be? I don't know. So here's the a little bit of a sad thing, but not really a sad thing.
Yeah.
On the eTark forums, because I basically made a thread where I'm like, I'm a content creator that wants to talk about this.
Gotcha.
I'm like, can you guys help me? Because I've got questions and there's so much. And at this point, I don't know what's what. Like, I've heard so many rumors and such speculation that like I need someone to be like, I might have a question that could take me 2 hours to answer that you could answer instantly and give me like a link,
Yep.
So I'm like, I probably have it in my notes somewhere, but it would take me so long, I'd never get this done. So maybe you guys can help me.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was actually surprised about was like most of the people, including like one guy who was one of the moderators who was like the most knowledgeable on the ARG, was like, just so you know, the ARG isn't No Man's Sky lore. It's like it's not canon. And I'm like, are you sure it's not canon? Or are you not sure it's canon?
Yeah.
Is a difference, right? Basically, they've never said it's a part of the story, but they never said it's not a part of the story.
Yeah.
So on one hand, it's kind of like, can we just dream a little bit?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like I was kind of struggling with here's the thing. The story told in the ARG, it's like Lost level amazing. And it perfectly fits in. Like there's No Man's Sky, and then there's like the ARG, and it just so perfectly fits in.
Yeah.
And it together they tell this amazing meta story about the history of the game its development, its release, the controversy, everything. Also about like free will, about what it means to be a human, what it like.
See, yeah,
Epic, amazing shit. That's like when you remove it, it's still great, but it's like I don't
Yeah.
want to. I want to talk about the story here.
for sure.
I don't want to believe that it's, but there's also like, so now that they're doing this thing, I have a hope that maybe this expedition and the update is going to maybe say like, this is more of the story. Because here's the thing. A bunch of stuff in the ARG points directly to No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
In the universe, in the lore. Nothing in the lore points to the ARG.
Yeah.
Nothing, like the game never talks about the Atlas Corporation.
Yeah.
But you have the Atlas.
Yeah.
That is this giant, massive AI.
And there aren't like contradictions between the game lore and the ARG lore that make them incompatible.
So there are what some of the mods and stuff were saying were like, there are things that are kind of like they're explained in other ways in the game itself.
Yeah.
And also the fact that like Allison Smith, apparently they've used some story elements, some small story elements, and maybe some like character information from other ARGs in here, and that's their logic for why it's not canon.
Yeah.
But to me, I feel like it makes sense.
Yeah.
If the ARG, like the ARG has a top-down look, it can see in.
Yeah.
In the lore of the game, I wouldn't expect it to be able to see out.
Yeah.
Especially if you know what the game is about and the universe. It wouldn't know about the ARG.
It's just not like crazy. It's not like fan fiction that you're like, the fan fiction is cosmic horror. Like, you know what I mean? It's like especially if they're literally 3 years after they ended the ARG, continuing it in some way, shape, or form. Like, I don't think it's crazy to like call it the story. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of part of what you're doing, is like telling the story that isn't there, completing the circle. You don't need any of this information to play and enjoy the game. It just enhances it if you're really into it. So like, yeah,
and it also doesn't need to be canon, even if it's not.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to tell
the story. Amazing, cool story.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell the story of the No Man's Sky and the ARG. It's still the same thing as I'm going to tell you the story of No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
If you assume that it also includes the ARG. So I would say that the biggest thing where they say it's not lore is, for all intents and purposes, I think Hello Games gave Allison Smith some like information about some of the things they were working on, some of the future things that were coming. And they said, make the ARG.
Yeah.
So the fact that like this says so much, answers so many questions, does so much stuff, like it's this massive, like the story that's told in the ARG is like 3 books, and No Man's Sky is 1 book. And the 3 books are written by not Hello Games. So that's why they're like, Hello Games didn't write this story. How could it be canon? But the way that I see it is I almost feel like they worked with them and they came up with this story that's so good. If I was Sean Murray, I would say, nope, that's canon now. I would just steal it.
Yeah.
I would steal it because it's too good. It's too appropriate. Everything fits amazingly.
Yeah.
It's just so it's too, so like I'm choosing to go with the narrative because it's fun. Who cares? Until Sean Murray says it's not canon.
Dude, I'm totally with you. I don't think that's a stretch at all. Like, I think that's
but I'm really hoping that this whole thing leads more towards the moment the game references anything outside of itself is the moment where I'm like, nah, dog, I'm like almost convinced it's canon. Because then they're willing to introduce stuff from outside.
Exactly.
Once you take one thing,
like
once
that door's open.
Once you put Elsa in the Spider-Man movie, now they're inexorably linked. Now Shrek is in the universe. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you can't have it just be a thing, you might as well just accept it's all connected at that point. You know?
For sure. Yep. That's crazy. So you haven't gotten too far into it, like through ADHD, just like
I saw like the introduction to like the first line of the like, oh, you're awake in Skyrim. Basically.
yeah.
I haven't gotten off the cart that's being pulled by the horses yet.
Because you only started because Diablo servers were down, so you haven't gotten super deep into it, dude. The freaking excerpt of your video that you threw up was. Oh, it just makes me want to watch the video even more. Like, oh my god.
So yeah, I've got a bunch of progress. The whole iceberg video is it just keeps getting. It's more vindication that it was like the right way to go.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Especially because like one of the updates to the thing where like we're gonna show you like new deeper layers of the game. I'm like, new deeper layers, huh? Sick. Like that's showing in the video. So the way it's gonna be is I have like 100 things on the iceberg. Most of them are going to be like a minute, 30 seconds of me like talking about a thing and then moving on. What you saw was one of the slightly more in-depth.
Yeah.
Where I took like 4 minutes where I actually edited together. Most like iceberg videos are, they zoom in on the word they're talking about on the iceberg and there's a guy in the lower thing just talking and then he moves on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be putting some visuals on screen, but not for all of them.
For sure.
So it's kind of finding the balance between like showing while telling and also just telling.
Yep.
Because that's the thing is, dude, I'm so self-conscious when I make videos that like if I'm not showing you something, people are going to lose interest. Like, yeah. But yet all the content I love, half of it is just somebody talking and showing nothing, like Wendigoon. He can just sit there in front of the camera and talk about like Bigfoot conspiracies for 3 hours. I don't need to see anything, dog. Just talk to me. So I'm trying to like embrace that sometimes people just want to. I mean, that's what all this podcast is, right? It's just us
100%,
about shit without showing you anything. So I think there's value in that, but I just need to like be less self-conscious about it. Also because like it took me 2 hours to make that 4-minute thing, you know? Like, you know, so that's just not sustainable when there's 100 things.
100%.
But there's so many little things that are worth talking about. So one really quick little tidbit, because every time I dive into something, it like branches out. And it's the worst thing. Randomly, I'm on the Wikipedia page for E3 2015
okay.
Because that was
when it was announced.
It was announced in 2013 at VGX.
Okay.
That was the interview that I showed you there.
Yeah.
The next like bullet point is E3 2014 and 2015, which is where they did the next trailer, and then which was like that was the one that everybody was like,
it's scripted.
The dinosaurs weren't in the game, you know, all that other. That's like the infamous one, and then the next one was like the first kind of gameplay thing. So I'm talking about those. But bro, while I had to sit through bits of the E3 2015, you know, the throwback on like the Sony, and randomly there's a trailer for a game. It was the announcement trailer for a game where I had to do a double take because I was like, wait, what? I watched the trailer and I'm like, yo, this is Dead Island. I love Dead Island. I'm like, yo, this must have been when they announced Dead Island 1. No. You get to the end, it says Dead Island 2.
Yep.
Bro, the game was announced in 2014.
And it just came out.
And it came out like a month ago.
A month ago, yeah. Dude, that game, I remember being super excited about Dead Island 2 in 2014, bro. It was one of those games, it's like called production hell or something, where they like literally just like the studio is like, we're done. And then like another studio gets it. And then they're like, we lost funding or whatever. Like that IP just got thrown around a ton for forever before it finally came out. I haven't played Dead Island 2, but.
and then the trailer is completely different.
Yep.
It's just a different game, you
Yep.
know. Like, I just remember seeing it and being like, I don't remember. So, and I was like, oh wow, Dead Island 3 then came out, right? And I'm like, no, that was Dead Island. So it's like just one of the thing.
Yep.
Yo, I just got a drop for Diablo.
Hey.
I just got a notification. Yeah, okay. That was just like one of the things where I'm like, I end up down another rabbit hole where normally it's just down the No Man's Sky rabbit hole, but in this case,
You're like,
I'm
wait,
God.
how? Yep.
I'm like, do I even talk about
Bro.
this? And I'm already to the point where like I'm writing a paragraph about like on a side note, and I'm like, I can't do that.
I can't do any more side notes.
The video will be just so long,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now there's another thing that I'm actually explaining that I wanted to explain here real quick because I think enough people who are listening here, as well as you, might actually find this fascinating how it works. But one of the main like selling points or marketing points or whatever from No Man's Sky, what was the thing that everybody was like
all the planets?
Well, not that, but it was procedurally generated.
Oh yeah, it's all procedurally generated. Yeah.
And it's like,
because the thing
oh my
was
God,
it was
amazing.
4
What does that
guys.
mean?
Like it's 4 guys making this, right? It's all procedurally generated. Yeah.
But like, do you know what procedurally generated means?
I mean, just the idea that you just give the computer, you know, like this is what a planet should look like, and then it just, instead of them having to handcraft each one, it just like fills in with a random set of rules or things that are applied to it.
Yes, so
16 quintillion times or whatever.
18 quintillion.
18 quintillion times.
Close, which is 16 to the 16th
Oh yeah,
power.
I keep saying 16 because you told me that fact. It's 16 to the 16th power. Yeah.
So this is something that's really cool because and this also like made me now with this ARG, I see patterns everywhere. I see meaning where there isn't. I'm Mel Gibson in the conspiracy theory movie. Did you ever watch that movie way back in the day? The one thing I took away from that movie, because he's like a paranoid schizophrenic or something in this movie. This is from like the 90s.
Yeah.
And I remember he put like a beer bottle on his doorknob as soon as he got in his house. So like if anybody turns like the FBI comes to turn so that like it would fall off and shatter, it'd be like a little mini alarm.
Oh my God.
Anyway. But yeah, I'm seeing patterns where there is none. And actually I'll tell you the pattern that I just saw within the first like 5 minutes of the No Man's Sky update, that now I'm like, is it connected? I don't know. But you know when you look at like TV static?
Yes.
Like, you know how it's called? They call it like noise.
Yeah.
It's literally just a grid of black and white pixels.
Yeah.
It just changes.
Go crazy.
I mean, that right there is what Minecraft and No Man's Sky used to generate their world. It uses noise. Now I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna explain it to you. So imagine I want to generate a random string of ones and zeros.
Okay.
That is something that's not complicated, that people can just, I mean, you can do that with a pen and paper, right? Like it's not hard to imagine a computer doing it. So imagine you have a random string of ones and zeros.
Yeah.
Imagine though that when you do that, you kind of have a bias towards ones.
Yeah.
So it might be, 1, 1, 1, 1, or, actually it doesn't matter. A bias one way or another. So it'll be like 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now imagine you take that string and you then convert it into a 2D image.
Yeah.
Where every pixel is black or white, depending on ones and zeros.
Yeah.
You now have noise.
Yes.
Then imagine what you do there is you smooth out that noise. So rather than you have a black pixel and a white pixel and a white pixel, there's like a gray in between, but you smooth it out. So now you've taken that noise that's randomly generated, and you've now gone black, kind of dark gray, lighter gray, white.
Yeah.
Now take that and make it so that the black value is 0, and white, you can just define it however you want. Let's say white, like full white, is like 8.
Okay.
So now you have a topology map.
Oh,
So 0,
shoot.
1. Imagine if it's Minecraft blocks high. So now you have 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, and now you have hills. All of the white, like those are peaks, and now you have like rolling hills. Now you can change that. Think about you change the scale of it. Well, now you have mountains, or now you have canyons, or now you have rivers. That's how Minecraft works. It literally just
generates noise and then converts that into like a usable. Whoa.
There's a name, I forget what it's called. A Perlin noise. I mean, if you literally type in Perlin, Perlin, Perlin noise procedural generation, you'll literally see, like, the first thing I see looks like some old ass school Minecraft.
That's
and what all they do is they take that concept and you just apply it in a bunch of different ways. Then you can have different biomes. You can then apply it to like a cube and then a sphere, so then you have planets. I mean, that's it.
First video I see is Perlin Noise in Unity procedural generation tutorial.
Yep. So
that's wild.
So all you need is, if you have a way of generating, you know how like you can have seeds in a random number generator.
Yeah.
So if you have a seed, if I give the random number generator seed 17 and I say generate a random thing, it's going to spit out the same thing every time. The seed basically is giving you like the constant to like base the randomness, because in computers there's actually no true randomness. There's no real random number generation. It's almost always based off of like just the clock time, the number of like the number of milliseconds since 1979 or December 31st at 11:59 1969 is the epoch date. That's like that's 0.
Yeah.
And everything after that is the number of seconds since then. That's like a timestamp. Very often that's what's used. So they might take that thing and then generate a random number based on that. It might sum up all the digits, divide by it just does a random thing, and it gives you basically effectively a random number.
Effectively a random number, yeah.
But it's not truly random, because if you could put yourself back into that same state, you'll always get the same thing, which is how a seed works. So No Man's Sky, it goes through and it does that, and I'm simplifying it a bit because there's lots of layers, but effectively it goes through and it generates the ones and zeros, does the same smoothing algorithm every time. So that's how you have a planet that's the same.
Yeah.
Every time for everybody, and that's why No Man's Sky is 15 gigs, and it's the size of 18 quintillion planets, and it's 80 gigs for Skyrim.
Yeah,
that's 16 square miles.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like, and that's how they can do all that stuff, and they can say like, we don't know what planets are, but they're not lying, right? Like,
yeah, that's wild. Oh my god.
So.
That's wild.
I just wanted to explain that because I feel like it's
so sick.
It kind of
I didn't know. I saw it as a completely different thing. I saw procedural generation as just like, here's like 10 different topology maps. Here's like 10 different legs of an animal, 10 different arms of an animal, 10 different colors an animal could be, right? Like that's how I see it, as like you input like a bunch of things and then you just like press go. And it knows I want a planet. I want it to be like this. That's like a completely like I would have never arrived there on my own, right?
Yeah. So I mean, and there are things in No Man's Sky, like there are some ships that are like
of course.
that.
Yeah.
Where there's a finite number of combinations.
Yeah.
You have this piece with this color and this class and this whatever.
Yeah.
So like most of the models of ships, there's not an infinite number of things, right? That's mostly because I'm sure it would be hard to have like ship animations. And stuff,
if you don't really know. Yeah.
If you don't know what, but with a planet, it doesn't matter if there's like holes randomly or, like, so.
Yeah.
And the same thing with animals. So the animals, it's why one of the biggest gripes that people have is like, people say, well, I go there and I see the same animals everywhere. It's because like they had to limit it.
Yeah.
To some known set of like, they can be a certain size category. Some of them can have horns. Some of them can have 6 legs or 2 legs. Some can be bipedal, you know, but there's like a set number of things. But when it comes to like so much of it, it's procedurally generated. But I just thought that would like demystify, because when you watch it, you hear, oh, procedurally generated, and nobody knows what that means. They all just think it means randomly generated, which is like I'm assuming that procedural generation is a subset of random generation.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be wrong. I've actually not really thought about it, but
still fascinating to hear how it's done, and then what that affords them to do, right? Because like obviously that was the big selling point, 18 quintillion planets. And then you look at the download file. Yeah, you know, Call of Duty is like 98 gigs. And like 18.
Because Call of Duty had 30 guys for 7 months hand moving the box over here, and the dirt's gonna go over here, and all of the 3D models and all of the sound files and everything, it has to be handmade in Blender and in Photoshop. And then all of those files need to be packaged up into like a .exe and sent over, right? No Man's Sky, it really only needs the stuff that isn't procedurally generated. And after that, it just does math. It's just math. That's how it can do it. That's how you can fly from the planet's surface up into
without stopping
to another planet, and there's no loading. Now, what's really impressive though is how they're able to do that in real time while scaling up and down, like the LOD. But that is probably, it's probably just lower resolution smoothing.
Oh, interesting.
That's probably all you need.
As you like leaving a planet.
Bro, all you need for a planet, it could just be a string of like 1,000,000 ones and zeros. And then from there, you could essentially like, imagine that's like a texture wrap around. And then so what they do is you have the ones and zeros, and then they just say like the ultimate smoothing. So what it does is it just makes it fully spherical when you're far away. And as you go, it does more fine grain, more granular smoothing. So that's how you can see a little divot.
As you get in, you're like, oh, there's a canyon there. And then you get down to, you're like, it's huge. And that's crazy.
So they might even be able to like cache that. I don't even know. But that's what's impressive is like how 4 people were able to do that. But yeah, the last bit on this that I want to talk about was just like, bro, one of the things I need to make sure I don't do with this video is make it like a simp for Sean Murray video. There's like, one of the bullet points I have is No Man's Sky, expectation versus reality. And it's the meme. The vintage 7-year-old meme that I love, where it shows the trailer where the guy's walking out and you see the Triceratops and whatever, and it's like, or actually no, it's the music leading up to that, and it's like No Man's Sky trailer, and then it changes to like a derpy looking like
with the tiny little arms,
scuffed little like weird rhino standing on 2 legs, and it has the
flute, the recorder.
So
S tier meme.
So part of me wants to defend, to write 3 paragraphs defending, and I'm like, no, just share the meme. I'm not like, so I'm trying to make sure that I don't do that, because there's also another bullet point that's like Sean Murray lies. That was like a meme that was like, here are the 27 things they said were going to be in the game. They're not a game. Like I should talk about that. It's relevant to the history without having to explain that all of those things come later in the game. And give them a break, but so I was able to do a little bit of that in the segment that I teased before we did the podcast, which it shows the first ever interview that Sean Murray did. And it shows you everything you need to know. Where he's like, and the more I watch of more of these interviews, the more I see. And this is actually, it was in the Engoodening of No Man's Sky video where a little of this gets talked about, but it's not until you go and you actually look at all of these
Watch
things
the
to see.
interviews.
Dude, there's a later interview with Sean Murray where he's like, one of the things I'm really worried about and I'm trying to avoid is if I say the wrong thing, if I give you a release date and it's the wrong thing, people are going to be mad at me. They're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give people the wrong expectations. At one point beforehand, he even said, don't come into this thinking it's going to be a multiplayer game because ultimately the whole time when he's talking about that, he's trying to explain when the game was going to be released, it's a shared universe.
Yeah.
But what that means is you can interact with players in that, like, they'll see major changes that you make, but you won't see the character. If you name a planet, they'll see that you discovered it and you named it. Like, that is person-to-person interaction.
Yeah.
But he's constantly interrupted.
Yep.
He's constantly getting misunderstood. At one point in that first interview, he was going to say, like, it's a shared universe, and the guy's like, yo, you guys are making a massively multiplayer. And you just see him, he puts his head down and he's like, I'm trying, you know?
Yeah, in the interview you showed, he's like talking about like what sci-fi means to him and the themes and motifs that carry through good sci-fi. And they're like, but is there PvP? Like, do I get to blow up a planet? And he's like, I mean, it's a shared universe. You guys are making an MMO? And it's like,
Joel McHale.
Yeah.
That was such a failure, dude. Joel McHale being
like,
the host
four
of the
guys?
VGX Awards. Yeah. The whole time he's like, do you even shower, dude? Like, he was just making jokes, and it was like, people are gonna want interviews for the next 3 years from Sean Murray. We were chomping at the bit, drooling, wanting any information we could, and you're making jokes about how he's gonna be programming on the plane because there's only 4 of us. Like, shut the f up, Joel McHale. You don't play video games. The whole time he hosted it, he just made fun of gamers.
Yeah.
Like, it was that VGX was an embarrassment, dude.
It is an interesting, like, we live in that time where, like, yeah, it's just interesting because, like, once again, I'm not saying, like you said, it's not simping for Sean Murray. I'm not saying that they did everything right around the launch of the game, but it is interesting that, like, yeah, we just, like, we want the information. We want it to be boxed into something. And you can see that, like, now with that lens looking back is like it's funny because I don't know if you use any of this info, any of this interview in your video, but I remember seeing an interview because I was sucking every piece of information I could dry. And it was like 101 things you can do in No Man's Sky or something like that. And it was
where
literally
the guy just rapid fire
asking him, can you destroy a planet? Can you breed cows? Can you... And
that's the quintessential...
And Sean is like... And it's funny because I bet now looking back, Sean was like dying inside because he was like, the last thing he wants to describe his game is 101 things you can do. It's just like, go do whatever you want. But that's not good enough. Tell me what I can do so that I can then define the experience. If I can't blow up a planet, well, then it's not truly MMO. If I can't do this, then it's not PvP. If I can't this. And that's just like, that's so antithetical to like what the game was supposed to represent. But we were like, what can you do? Who can you kill? Who do I shoot? When do I see this? Yeah.
Bro, in one of his interviews...
And I was that guy too.
It's so telling. Like, this tells me everything I need to know about the guy. In the interview, after like E3, this was like after the biggest thing in the world, you know.
Yeah.
One of the interview guys was asking him about, like, are you going to go and look for funding and whatever? Now, keep in mind that like 2 weeks after this was like December 7th.
Yeah.
On December 24th, their offices were completely flooded and everything was fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
But they were like, are you going to look for funding? Are you going to... And what he basically said was, I don't even want to be here.
Yeah.
Because I don't want... He's like, oh, they asked him, do you have any idea for a release date? He's like, dude, He's like, I don't even want to be here advertising this because the game isn't done. It's not where we want it to be. He's like, and he's like, saying this, I'm sure like the Sony executives were like, shut the f up, like you're gonna hurt sales.
Yep.
But Sean was like, I don't want anybody to buy the game or get hyped about it until the game comes out and they like watch a review.
Yeah.
He's like, he straight up was like, this isn't good for sales. But he's like, I am so worried that I'm gonna let people down and they're gonna get the wrong impression about the game. Dude, he's like an oracle. Like he knew it was gonna happen.
It's crazy because that explains, like, it kind of explains their commitment to supporting the game even this long after. Because, like, it's funny now looking back, it's like you can see he saw it coming. It's like you could see every video, every interview, everything was like all getting it wrong. They were trying to pin it down. The game wasn't ready, and it's like he saw it coming. You know what I mean? And so they've just like
The only
so
major
supported the
disconnect,
game.
the only major disconnect I'm not exactly sure about, because like 9 out of 10 of the times that people asked him about multiplayer, you could see he was like, ugh. Like he was
Yeah.
like, knew that it was just going to get taken out of context or
Yeah.
misunderstood. But there was like a couple of times, like with Colbert, where he was like, you won't know what you look like unless another player sees you.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why would you say that? Like,
Yeah.
that is like not defensible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
That's the like marketing. Ooh, yeah.
But when you say it's like a shared multiplayer world, that is not a lie, and it's not incorrect.
Yeah.
With what they were planning. Now, Sony probably said you can't say it's not multiplayer. Don't, you know,
Yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
sure there was some like that behind the scenes going on where they're like, you can't walk it back because then everybody, you know,
Yep.
And he did that a couple times, probably to like their dismay, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, there were
That's
just a couple of
crazy.
times where I'm like, dog.
Why'd you say that?
It's not fully defensible,
Yeah.
but I'm sure, like the way that I look at it, I'm sure there was some reason why he was saying those things in that way that was probably outside of his hands. Because I mean, genuinely, you can tell in all of the interviews how he was trying his best to like couch expectations, and it just made everybody more hyped. And want more and ask for more. And he was like
weirdly,
don't be excited.
It like weirdly, gave the opposite effect. You know what I mean? Like I bet it just had to do with everything. It was like his personality. It was like we saw him as these underdogs, these humble guys just trying to make a game, and they're like, it's not going to be that good. And you're like, I bet that means it's going to be so good. It just like had the exact opposite effect. He was like, please don't expect much from this game. And then just like. Between that and the pressure from Sony and the trailers, like it was just like a concoction of hype.
Yeah. So I mean, there is something to the Sean Murray lies thing, and that like I don't want to say like he lied to us in like a nefarious way. It's just like everything that we saw in the trailers and that he talked about there that everybody mauled it about. We have that ×2 in No Man's Sky now. There are plenty of things that he was like, that's not going to be in the game. That's in the game now.
In the game, yeah.
So I'm sure like a bunch of stuff got scrapped. They're like multiplayer probably just got like put on the back burner.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't finish the game in time because they ran out of money. They didn't have Sony offered to reimburse them for all of the supplies and everything, and Sean turned him down.
Dang.
He's like, we're gonna do it ourselves. They went and bought new MacBooks and everything, and like you can't not be like have respect for the guy.
For sure.
You know, he wasn't without his mistakes and some of the things he said in a few interviews, but like I have no doubt that he's just a genuine, brilliant, socially awkward. Dude, he has the demeanor of a dog that's been kicked around so many times.
Yeah.
You see him during the interviews, dude, and he's all hunched over like he's gonna get hit, you know? But then when you saw him talk about the old sci-fi, you see he perks up and then blah blah blah, and then they interrupt and he's like,
so it's multiplayer? Is it an
MMO?
MMO?
You can see it. You can see it. It switches, dude, where he's like, and honestly, it amazed me because I watched those interviews a million times.
Yeah, back then, me too.
And it was in one ear, out the other.
We were just so hyped, man. We were just so hyped.
never heard of any of these authors or whatever, and I'm like, that was the first thing he talked about. Maybe I should Google it. And the first thing I see is when he said Mobius. If you Google like Mobius, like sci-fi cover, it's like the anomaly circular sphere with like the whole almost like Death Star-esque, which is like it. And then you Google like another name like Chris Foss art, and it was like it's a crashed ship with like a planet on the horizon. You're like, that's like No Man's Sky art, but it's from a book from 1971.
Damn.
And you're like, wow, I see so much of it. And you see he's genuinely like, I wanted to stand on the planet and see the mountains and walk to the. He wasn't like, I want to be able to fight in a galactic battle. He was like, I
Yeah.
want the awe-inspiring beauty of the universe and the
Yeah.
exploration. I want to walk around. He basically said in a couple of the interviews, he's like, I want to walk around and see this amazing and live in the world that was in the art and the sci-fi. And he's like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
He's like, if it was up to him, he probably wouldn't have had crafting, wouldn't have had whatever.
Yeah.
He just wants to see the ship and to fly it and to like look around and be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is amazing. And like have this beautiful artistic tableau in front of him, you know?
Yeah. Damn.
Anyway, dude,
That's so
one thing
sick.
one thing that I so many people, like way more than expected, have come in and said recently is how much they've been enjoying the other we've been talking about.
Yes, dude.
So I know that there are some people that are like, fucking, you know, whatever. You guys,
Yeah, there's timestamps in the podcast.
yeah,
Like-
everybody that's been enjoying all this stuff, like,
yeah.
it's like one of the few things that actually keeps me going, right? Because the moment that I hear people like, when are you going to go back to Tarkov? And the moment that's like 60% of what I hear, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to find a job and just not do this anymore. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm resigned to like, I'm going to do what I want and what I'm excited about.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I finally have a second wind with some of this.
Sure.
For a long time, I was going to quit content creation. Like, genuinely, I was just going to, I probably would continue with the podcast, but I probably would stop streaming and like, because, you know, once a week with no prep chatting like that.
Yeah.
My mental health can handle that. Like, this is my, you know, therapy, but like, you know, the YouTube and Twitch and all, especially with all the IRL stuff, I was like, you know, but the number of people that have come in and said they love that is amazing.
Same in my chat too, bro.
Dude, half a dozen people came in the last 2 days and said, bro, I bought Dice Throne and I've been playing with my wife.
Somebody tagged us on Twitter and I was like, oh.
And I've been playing with my wife and it's amazing. Dude, all the 30-year-olds, 30-something that have all been married for like 7 to 10 years that are like, we're trying to figure out what to do with the wife when the kids are, and it's like Dice Throne.
Bro.
Every single person that said they love Dice Throne, they play it with their wife. I'm telling you, if you're married and you want something to do, go. We're not sponsored, but I got that Dice Throne Adventures. I bought it.
Oh yeah.
And me and my wife, dude, it's amazing.
Dude,
it's like a dynamic build yourself dungeon crawl. That's like D&D, but with Dice Throne combat mechanics. Sick. It's amazing.
That's so sick, man.
Yeah.
That's so sick. I love talking about everything else other than Tarkov as well. Like, I still play Tarkov all the time. I've been playing some Star Citizen and we've been talking about that, but like, it's
what else are we going to talk about for Tarkov for 2 hours right now?
Exactly.
I had a raid where I killed somebody and I looted the thing.
The reality is, at this point, it's like, if we talked about Tarkov for 2 hours, like, the people that want us to talk about Tarkov for 2 hours would hate it, because it's not going to be like, we're not going to be excited.
The podcast would be 35 minutes of us not being excited and then it'd be over.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, that's what's crazy, is that like, we're not necessarily talking about Tarkov less. It's just there's less to talk about, so we're filling the other time with other things, which is awesome. And it's funny because the only other thing I had on the list, you were talking about like getting a job. Like, speaking of Twitch as a job, did you see any of the like terms of service updates and stuff like that?
I saw, dude, after like a 4-hour lawyer conversation.
Oh yeah.
Someone was like, "Yo, I'm making all these." One of my, you know, a few of my streamer friends were like, you know, we're going to be making some changes because of all these things. Like, you know, Veritas, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not. I don't care.
Yeah.
If Twitch stops paying for everything right now and starts running 100 ads, like I don't have the mental
I totally get
capacity
that.
to like change what I'm doing at this point. I don't even know, other than like something about the banner ad size.
Yeah.
That's is it more than that, or?
Yeah. So I mean, like, it was a whole basically update to the terms of service on like how ads are shown, like your own ads. So like on-stream logos were now limited to only 3% of the screen, which is
How do you find calculate? I mean, I guess
very tiny, 3%. Burned in video ads are not allowed. Burned in display ads are not allowed. Burned in audio ads are not allowed, which I
Wait,
don't,
what does burned in mean?
I don't know how they exactly defined it. There was like,
Why do you use like in lingo? They're
Yeah.
using like jargon in their rules. Like you don't do
Yeah.
that. You be explicit.
yeah. So, I mean, like, there's like, I can send you this. There were like some pictures, but I think they kind of intentionally made it pretty vague. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, so here's the thing ultimately, was I truly believe that people are really bad at interpreting corporate jargon on Twitter, right? So like when I saw it all erupting, there was a part of me that was like, okay, I bet part of this is misunderstood. You know what I mean? But the other belief I hold is that is that Twitch is contending with BSG for company that enjoys kicking itself in the nuts just as frequently as possible. So I was like, also, Twitch kind of sucks, you know. But there was like a whole thing they changed. Like they basically added new things to what's like banned and what's completely not at all allowed to be advertised. And I think, yeah, burned in basically I think means like anything added to your OBS, not like them running an ad over top or you running an ad, but like
if I pre-recorded a video ad, that like the kind of thing you would put in the middle of a YouTube video.
Yeah.
If I was like, all right, guys, I'll be right back, and I went full screen, played the video, that's not allowed.
Correct. It appears to be that's what they were talking about. Additionally, they changed the rules for like simulcasting, like
because everybody's been also streaming on Kick. Basically.
Yeah, well, it used to be if you were a partner you couldn't, I think, but you could like forfeit. Like Ninja forfeited, like Ninja's not a partner on Twitch, and he forfeited a partner contract so that, because his shtick that he's been doing recently is he streams everywhere. He streams to TikTok, to Instagram, to Facebook, to YouTube, and to Twitch at the same time, which I think is like fascinating if you're at his level, you know what I mean? But they made it so they elevated that to no one on the site. Like if you accept the terms of service, like if you're an affiliate or anything, like you cannot simulcast. So it was just like a bunch of shady stuff. And
bro, it's so bad.
It's so bad.
That like they could make so many changes that are like, we're going to pay you less. And then so then they have to, like, if I'm gonna make a living, I need to do these other things,
facilitate,
to then subsidize it. And they're like, sorry, those other things aren't allowed.
It's crazy.
Like if I'm not paying Jeff Bezos,
it's not even just the 70-30 split thing. Like I don't have the 70-30 split. I never got it. They just stopped.
I did. I don't know. I haven't even checked.
They stopped offering it as I was on my come up. I got partner and I asked, you know what I mean, around what time, and they were like, we're not offering that anymore. And then they're taking it away to everybody because they're taking away from everybody over like $100,000. If you make more than that, then you go down to 50-50, whatever. They're not offering anymore. So it's like there's that. And then the ad incentive program happened and I it's almost like just straight up confirmed at this point that they were offering insanely high rates in the beginning to like get get creators used to running ads. And now like it's
I need to go look again. I feel like they pulled the rug out.
They did
at some point, and so I'm gonna turn them off at some point. Like I have to look. There's a threshold where it's worth it.
Yeah.
And for literally 3 years, I never ran ads.
Yeah.
Until one day they were like, we're gonna give you $1,500, and it's like I mean that's like gonna pay my mortgage
for sure.
Okay, and then it got to the point where now it's like 6-8 minutes of ads per hour.
Yeah.
And if it's only $300 or whatever, then it's not worth it.
No, exactly.
So
they take away the 70-30 split, and then the ads, they came out really strong with that, making it really easy to run ads, incentivizing creators to do so. And it was well within what was like worth it financially to do that. And then over the course of the past 6-8 months, they've been pulling the rug. It's like I averaged like twice as many viewers as I did when I first started running the ads for the ad incentive program, and I make like the same or less off ads. Now for me, I know for me it's still worth it right now. I don't think I run as many ads as I used to, but anyways, so they did that. So that's just sleazy as well. They get rid of the 70-30 split. They incentivize everybody to run ads, and then they just systematically started reducing how much they pay the creators for ads. They keep like They kept presenting new updates to the ad incentive program, and they were
Dude,
positioning them.
Now it's ambiguous.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
it used to be like you'll get $650,
But
now it's 8 minutes estimated between 500 and 1,500.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big difference.
Exactly. And they positioned all of those changes as a huge benefits to creators. Like, oh, it's a 55% split now, and you're gonna make so much more money. And it went from like, we're gonna pay you this much for this many ads to like between 7 cents and a raspberry and $250,000, you know, somewhere in there. And you're like, what? And then this, where they do all this stuff where so exactly that. So like systematically they're pushing creators into like having to source their own stuff, like sponsorships and stuff for to you know, make money. And now boom, they did all this. And then of freaking course, bro, like just they were like, hey, you know, they said something like the day after, and they were like, you know, we feel like people misunderstood, yada, yada, yada. And then yesterday, we released branded content guidelines that impacted your ability to work with sponsors to increase your income from streaming. Those guidelines are bad for you and bad for Twitch, and we are removing them immediately. None of the Twitch ambassadors were like given the ability to like look at this, which is isn't that what they're there for? Like literally to like help bridge the gap between Twitch, the company, and the community. So it's like they're like 24 hours later, they're like, these guidelines are bad and bad for you and bad for Twitch. We're removing them. It's like, dude, how in the world? And it's not worth the mental gymnastics, because the reality is, and like, it's funny, they got freaking community notes ratioed on the Twitter, because basically all they removed was the like 3% branded content and the burned in video ads. All the other stuff, like all this new stuff that's prohibited, and the fact that nobody can simulcast, stayed.
Okay, so you can't simulcast, but the sponsorship stuff you can do now.
But the sponsorship stuff they just took out. And it's crazy because like then my buddy, I can send it to you. It's weird because I don't have the context for this clip, but the CEO of Twitch was like on somebody's like Twitch stream, like doing an interview. And I don't know why, but they were using the analogy. Once again, I don't know the context. They were using the analogy of pissing in someone's mouth. I don't know why.
Twitch did?
But no, I think it was the creator. I think the creator was like being really like verbose and just like out there. And he was like, how do I convince my girl to let me piss in her mouth or something? I don't know the context. But what he said, the CEO of Twitch, was like, well, the thing is in order to get what you want, you come on strong with let me piss in your mouth. And then if she says no, it's like, then, you know, she'll be super down to let you piss on her leg. And that's how you kind of get what you want.
Oh,
and so it was like,
God.
It was super monka and weird, but it was like, oh, so stuff like this is like they wanted to remove simulcasting. So they add a bunch of other bull on top of it. They go, we're sorry. And they remove the stuff that they didn't really care about, and they leave.
So that you're getting pissed on the leg, and you're thanking them that they didn't piss.
That is almost verbatim what he said. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the Twitch CEO.
God, it's so nice.
He did a podcast analogy for us. Yeah, they're pissing in your mouth, and then you're thanking them for pissing on your leg. Like, but that was like actually words out of his mouth. And so that's when you see it for what it is. You're like, how can you tweet 24 hours after you update your guidelines that these are bad for you, bad for Twitch, bad us, we suck, we're getting rid of them. It's because you didn't care about that. And the stuff you left behind was the stuff you're trying to put in. It's crazy because I'm convinced, bro. Go ahead. I was talking to my wife. I'm convinced that like who's in charge of Twitch is like 89-year-old guys. Because they just like don't understand the site they're managing, right?
That's what I was gonna say. It's not even like this Machiavellian plan. They're just so out of touch that they force this thing through, and then a bunch of other people who are the ones that get all the pushback are like, "Oh my God, they're revolting."
Exactly.
What do we do? And then they're like, "Oh, well, I guess
it truly is ignorance." Because like people like the thing everybody was saying in my chat when we were talking about this is like they're just in it for money, man. They're just doing money. It's all about money. If I'm a malicious just scum of the earth billionaire, and I want to make money on Twitch. How do you do that? Twitch does not create a product. They don't sell anything. They advertise on content. Okay? What do you need in order to advertise content? Eyeballs. You need eyeballs watching the content. So if I was a malicious, scummy billionaire that only wanted to make money, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the best way to make money is to have the most people creating on Twitch so I can advertise on all their streams? The most eyeballs on Twitch so I can advertise on all their streams? Isn't that how I make the most money? So like being, I don't, and maybe I'm ignorant, maybe I'm altruistic, maybe I'm naive, but it seems like creating a place where the creators want to create, if you just make the best place to create, you attract all the talent, you do the work for them, we create the content, they advertise on it, and they make tons of money. So yeah, it's not even maliciousness. I can't attribute it to that. To me, it has to be ignorance. They just don't understand like what this site is. It's crazy.
I had this exact conversation with my barber 4 hours ago or whatever when I was sitting there because someone said the thing and I had to I was like, no, like that's a part of the problem. And one of the analogies, like examples that we had talked about, this isn't really getting into politics. It's adjacent to it, but there's no need to do whatever.
Get out of hand.
If you think about like pride parades, when you hear from a certain demographic of people that anybody who's either like queer, trans, whatever, that they have an agenda, they want to turn all our kids gay, they want to you've instantly, first of all, shut down the conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
But the idea that there's always some master plan.
Yes.
Like the other side is this one singular mastermind.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about a corporation and they have this plan, and when they execute it perfectly, when in reality that what you're imagining doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's not a conspiracy. There's not a master plan. What it is a bunch of marketing professionals, legal professionals, business people, all individually on their lunch breaks thinking about the things that can do their job better, and it all together ends up as this end result that then people think that was the plan all along. Like think about any of your individual jobs. Think about if the thing that just happened, that the latest product release you just had, or the latest Karen that gave you a customer service issue if you work at Kohl's or whatever, imagine she was like, all of you people all work on commission, that's why you did this thing and you said to me and blah blah blah, and that's why everybody's treating me this way because you just want to force me into buying this thing. And you're like, lady, I just got back from my lunch break, I had my AirPods in, I didn't hear you, I wasn't ignoring you. This isn't a master plan. There's not a plan to market, to upsell you. None of us make commission. Like, you just invented this whole thing.
Yep.
And it's like, if I wonder if all of these, crotchety old hateful old people, if they actually knew why pride parades happened, then maybe they wouldn't hate it so much, because instead they think that they want every 5-year-old boy to run around kindergarten with assless chaps and lipstick on, right? Like that's what they think. That's their agenda.
Really, for sure. It's crazy.
It's a bunch of people who we want to be accepting, and we want people to feel comfortable in their bodies. So we're going to celebrate people, being accepting. We're gonna say we accept everybody. By saying we accept everybody, we're not saying we want you to change. But it's like, so that's the problem, is that people and the same with politics. It's the same with business,
same with corporations.
Every conspiracy theory is Bush did 9/11. There was a plan with 9 people in a room that all were like, we need to make this much money because we're all evil people, and we're gonna, and it's like, it's usually a lot less sexy, a lot more chaotic and complicated, and the end result is never anything anybody planned. It emerges from the individual elements.
Yep. I saw a video. I don't remember. It's a lower position, but I believe it's an elected position in Georgia. A woman got elected. It's not like governor of Georgia or anything. But I saw the video because it was like she believes the earth is flat. And there was like a video of her being interviewed, and she was like, if the earth was a globe, why are you pushing it so hard? Like everywhere I look, you go into a library and there's a globe, and you go to a school and there's a globe, and you go out here, you go out watch it on TV and it's a globe. It's like, if it was real, you wouldn't need to push it so hard. And I was like, the mental gymnastics to step over, to hike up your britches and step over. It's everywhere because it's a globe. To arrive at the other side of like, if you're telling me a thing, that's fishy as hell, because you wouldn't need to tell me. I would just know. And,
bro, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a neoliberal conservative globalist plot by the lizard people to take over your children's lives in the world and to take all my money.
And I was like, dude, I was just like, it's crazy. So I mean, full circle, it's just funny, like, because I do understand it when people are like, it's because Twitch is just out for the money. Twitch is just their just master plan is to just like extract all this money from Twitch. It's like I can get it, because I get that that's how people feel, that they're just being like harvested or whatever. But I'm like, what they're doing is so stupid that it's going to make them less money. And that's what I'm talking about. Is like you thinking they have a master plan is giving them too much credit. And that's not a lot of credit to give. You know, we're accusing them of being ugly, manipulative, sleazy, rich people, and that's giving them too much credit. They just like don't know what the hell they're doing, what's healthy for this website. And I'm not saying I do. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm not saying I know how to make money. I know Twitch burned money for a really, really long time, but they can't make money off of a website where nobody streams. So at a base level, I do understand as a creator on this website that them incentivizing creators to create on the website is the start of their revenue stream.
Yeah.
And the things they're doing are just doing the opposite. People are leaving in droves for YouTube gaming and for Kick.
Bro, did you see the clip that I posted, the Bo Burnham thing on Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is part of what kicked the discussion off at the barber, because that was honestly this is what I tweeted. It was one of the most profound perspectives.
He's so smart, yeah.
Holy, like I just watched Inside again.
Oh yeah,
it's just so good. But the thing that he talked about, and I literally just pulled up the video, clicked on the plugin that I have that takes the transcript and uploads it to ChatGPT automatically and says, "Can you summarize this?" But I'm trying to figure out. Oh, and I literally find it first thing. What he was talking about is how these companies, how we used to colonize land, right? 1600, 1700, 18, I mean, everything before that, right?
Yeah.
For thousands of years, humans colonized land, and we ran out of land to colonize.
Yeah.
So now corporations, they're trying to colonize your attention, right? Yep. It's all about eyeballs, like you were saying. But one of the things that he was careful, because I think one of the other, he was on like a panel of a few people, and I think one of the other people was basically like, yeah, well, because the corporations, they know they need to do this. They need to like take over your children's lives, and it's all for profit. And he was like, no. Here's the thing. If you look at it that way, what you're going to do is, if like you're standing outside of some company, Google, Twitter, whatever, Twitch, and you're like picketing, saying like, all of you corporate blah blah blah, you have this giant plan to take over the kids and to ruin them mentally, and it's like, you are never going to get society or any of the companies, like there's never a discussion. But what he said was, it's not because anybody in this company has evil plans or is trying to do this. They're not even doing it consciously. It's because these companies like Twitter and YouTube and Instagram, everything went public and they went to shareholders. So they have to grow. Their entire model is based off of growth. They cannot stay stagnant. YouTube, Twitter, they grossed $4 or $5 billion last year, and it's in the red. It's unprofitable, so they have to get more engagement. He said, no matter how, wait, I'm trying to read this. There's no commas or anything because it's a transcript. They're trying to get more engagement from you. Yeah. So basically, but what he was saying was, it's not like this uber evil plan. It's like so many of the things you see. There's someone named Catherine who works in the marketing department at a company that had an idea about something that they wanted to do. They sat in a meeting, a bunch of people talked about it, they tweaked it, and then they implement this new change for this company, and it has the result. Like, there's no way. Here's the thing. There's no way that anybody on YouTube thought about the mental health implications of people scrolling through a shorts feed and how that affects you like psychologically, about how that changes your attention span, and how, like, no way. No. That's the result, but it was never intended. Exactly. So don't try to pretend like the result of kids being zombies. YouTube didn't want to make your kid a zombie, but that's what happened.
They just were incentivized to grow, and they did it 1% at a time too. Like, that's the thing, is like, it's, you know, Catherine did that thing and it was her idea, and she was like, I noticed that people click this, that, and the other, and that grew Twitter, but by 0.5%, not by like, oh, now suddenly because of Catherine, we've weaponized misinformation and violence. It's 1% at a time. Ooh, this gets more engagement. This gets more engagement. Ooh, this gets more engagement. And all these things happen in this quarter, so we can show really good margins. Okay, boom, boom, boom. And it's just, and then and then what happens is, everybody was head down, just like growth, profit. And then we look up and we were like, oh no, what gets clicks and what's profit is this. And now it's all this. And what happens to kids? Now we're like, oh no, but it wasn't like the plan from the beginning. You know what I mean? It was just 1% at a time.
And don't get me wrong, to say that it's like not about money and that billionaires aren't involved, like, that's not true. But here's the real world. There are a bunch of billionaires sitting in a room. They're all the C-suite folks smoking cigars. Catherine comes in and they go, is the number green or red? Like, do whatever, right? Like, they're the ones signing the checks. So it is ultimately about a bunch of but the people want to think that they're on, like, they're all wearing hooded robes, sacrificing children on the secret Freemason island to try to figure out how to destroy the Zoomer generation. It's not that, right? It's just not that.
It's just line go up at any cost.
If people stopped thinking like that about everything, then we could actually rationally and reasonably like figure out how to tackle these issues, right? But everybody looks at everything like it's a big planned conspiracy from the other side. And that's part of the reason why everything's so divided, because people are yelling saying, you have this conspiracy, you have this conspiracy, and none of them actually understand the enemy. And so that they can't have a conversation because the other person's like, you're totally lying and you don't get it. And it's because you're an evil Satanist, whatever. And the other people are like, you're totally lying and you don't get it because you're a neoliberal gay, whatever, that wants to make the, whatever, right? Like, and that's why I feel like
the sky is basketball.
The sky is basketball.
And
that was basically what Bo said in that clip. Everybody should go and just go to YouTube and search for Bo Burnham colonizing our minds in the age of social media. It's a 3-minute 19-second clip that is some of the most profound, and he talks about ultimately like the generational divide between, so there's the boomers, the millennials, and the zoomers, and I feel like the boomers are like one generation that are so out of touch and they don't get it, but they're the ones that are like in charge. We are at the millennials are in the middle. We're at the whim of the last 100 years of that have put us in this position. So we're in a position living under tech that the decision makers don't understand. It's run by corporations and 100 years of ancient history. And then you have the zoomers that are growing up in this virtual world that's making it so that like they just don't see it. Like the way that I could, and here's the thing, like I'm self-aware enough to know that I am just doing the 2023 version of kids these days. At least I'm self-aware, but but it's also true. When I'm at the barber, we're having this conversation, and it was like, wow, perfect example. These 5 girls that are probably 17, 18, 19, definitely coming from the college down the road.
Yeah.
They're right next to the barber shop is a cafe, like a Starbucks kind of thing.
Yeah.
They come flying in their like Lexus SUV and are parked half across into like the handicap lane or whatever. And they like get out and they're all like, taking literally selfies in front of the parking thing. It's like they see, oh my God, look what just happened. This is something I need to share and talk about with my friends. They're not thinking about the fact that they just blocked a handicap spot and there's an old lady that's going to not be able to park there. And someone's going to be inconvenienced. It's not even that. See, at least kids in our generation and before, at least we did that and we were like, grandma, we don't care. We were at least aware of the world. We were just ignorant. And everybody before us, back to the greasers with their slick back hair, kicking tires on their, like at least they recognized it. Kids these days, they're
and they don't even know it.
and they don't realize it, and they're rewarded on social media for it, and they're depressed, and their mental health is garbage because they grew up without. When I was a kid, we went to the internet and we came home. Now kids these days live in the internet. So it's like they don't know what the world is. We weren't prepared for it. We weren't prepared for taxes and for getting a job and for student loan debt. We weren't prepared for it, but at least we know what's going on. These kids have no idea what's going on, and they're not prepared, and they're not like mentally equipped, and it's scary. And it's part of the reason why I don't want to have kids, because it's like, holy shit, this is terrifying. You know?
It is, for sure.
That's my old grandpa rant of the day. I just alienated like 36%.
I know. I was thinking the whole time, I was like, damn, these comments on the YouTube video are gonna be good. I heard another quote from Bo Burnham where he was just talking about like basically like the younger generation living in the internet and just not even knowing the difference between the internet and reality, really. And he said if you want to say on television, you have to go before the Senate. But the barrier to all of the information the internet holds is, are you 18? Check yes. And you're like,
wink.
Damn. Yeah, exactly. Just check, just click yes.
Which is like, welcome to the internet. His song in the thing is like, do you want to see some cute kittens and a beheading from Al Qaeda? And do you want to see, like, whoa, what the like? And it's like, welcome to the internet. It's all here. What do you want to see, baby?
And
dude, the best part of that series, again, if you haven't seen Netflix, the Inside special that Bo Burnham did, the best part, and it resonates with me so much, dude, to the core, that like literally only content creators understand the real message here. When he stands in front of the camera, he's sitting there and he's all scraggly and he's like, hey guys, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Like, it's amazing. All the subscriptions, all the likes. Like, thank you guys so much. This has been so great. You guys, haven't stopped watching and you've been supporting me the whole time. And the whole time he has a steak knife in his hand. Staring at the camera, being like, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And basically, like, what he's trying to say is, you're sitting there watching and he's thanking you for watching, while at the same time, you don't know if he's going to use the knife on you or on himself. He's like, and then at the end of this whole thing where you just feel uneasy that he's saying like, thank you, oh my God, like a hostage video, he then makes you sit there for like 45 seconds in silence while he holds the knife.
Look at him.
After he thanked you for watching all of his content, thank you so much. And he just stares at the camera with a grin, holding the knife in his hand, and it's like, wow, like that right there is the content creator fan relationship seen from like zoomed out. And there's elements of that are a little deep that I think people will be like, wow, that's deep. They won't see the next element of that, of just how there's a really good interview with Bo Burnham talking about basically how he's like, I hate my fans. And here's why. And it was like, Yeah, like
it's
not that I hate my fans,
No,
but like
yeah.
what he was talking about, like you have this adversarial thing where it's
Yeah.
like you want to chew me up and spit me out, and I need it, and I live off of it, but it kills me, but I live off of it, but it kills me, but I live
just
off
the
of it.
whole exploring the nature of the parasocial relationship. Yeah. Crazy, man.
I haven't. Oh God, I haven't. I was just gonna say I haven't had any caffeine today, and I just looked and I saw that there's an iced coffee in front of me, but I only drank like a third of it. I'm just hyped up on knowledge.
But yeah, all that to say, Twitch is weird, and they don't know what they're doing. It seems. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much everything on the list, dude. It's so funny. We did like 15 minutes of Tarkov. This is one of the longest episodes we've had, 2 hours and 30 minutes. So like we said earlier in the episode, and like I'm going to say every time, thank you guys. Seriously, everybody that hangs out, that listens to this on podcast platforms, that checks it out on YouTube. It's crazy. The amount of Tarkov content per episode shrinks, but the amount of people that stop by every week and say love the podcast has not shrunk. Right. And that's just like,
it's gone up.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, oh, thank you. So, like we said,
and it's not necessarily going to keep shrinking. When there's a wipe, it's going to go up. When there's news, it's going to go back up.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That like when there is stuff to talk about in Tarkov, we will talk about it. I am very excited for these patches. I am very excited for what 13.1 could do to the game. But it's just like we just don't have it. Like we're just here and I'm running lighthouse runs, and so I want to talk about other cool stuff on the podcast. You know what I mean? So thank you guys for hanging. Thank you guys for consuming the content. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this episode. This will be live early next week on all the stuff. I'm sure we'll get an event or some Chronicles of Rizhi or something starting tomorrow because LOL. But thank you guys. Seriously, we can't appreciate you guys enough. And yeah, we'll definitely see y'all on the next one.
Early have to pee.